Hello, hello. Hope everybody's doing okay. I'm starting this stream. Let me make sure that it is working. Let me go to my channel and make sure I can hear a little something. I know I haven't been here for a while. Okay, there it is. So I put a one in the chat if you can hear me okay. I remembered this time to put the link in Discord, for StreamYard if anybody wants to join from there. Or if you want to just join from the chat, it's fine with me. I know I had one person up here just a few minutes ago. FBA Goddess, shout out to her. So hopefully I see more people, but let me know. Okay, Doug, what's going on, Doug? Doug's in the house. Let me see here. Okay. So, first of all, I know it's a lot of, stuff going on with different things, people twerking on panels and streams and stuff and whatever. I ain't trying to be all involved in that. But, I think from what I can tell, it's a lot of confusion going on in the space. And I'm not going to, as a female, I'm not going to say a whole lot about what men should do and shouldn't do and all this kind of stuff. That's not my place. But just looking at it, it's like, I'll talk on a little bit about, this is off the topic real quick, but I'll talk about what Dr. I think Randy Short, who was Art New Styles guest on there, from what his commentary was on. Excuse me if I'm not looking at the chat. So if you saying what's up, hello, my bad. I'm looking at the sky. I'm looking up. But so I'm not looking at the chat right now. But yeah, he was talking some good stuff, for the most part. And what I thought of after he was having his commentary was, who do you blame for certain situations that you are in? For instance, like societal situations that may be detrimental to your progression. You blame the person that lights the match, or the person that sparks the lighter, or you blame the person that takes out a big ass blanket and fans the flames. And you fan the flames, but you saw the person light the match on this house, or light a match and throw it in the window to burn somebody's house down. You blame the person that light the match, or you blame the person that allows it to happen or spreads the flame. So as we know historically, we all know who lit the match, who popped this all off, who set up the infrastructure and the systematic processes that we deal with now. You blame them, or do you blame people who are indoctrinated into that burning society, who don't know it's necessarily wrong to continue fanning the flames? That maybe fanning the flames is a defense mechanism so they can get out or something. Fanning the flames in somebody's direction so they can run the other way. These are just things I have thought about. And since that conversation with Dr. Short and MOT, y'all know who I am. I'm not gonna sit here and pussyfoot around the bullshit. You know your name, everybody know your name. Okay. So me saying your name shouldn't take nothing from you, no matter who you are. You know what you said, you know what you did. Everybody know. But the conversation that they were having, I want to look at it from more of a constructive perspective. You really are agreeing with each other, but perhaps you're disagreeing on the solution to an outcome. And if that's the case, then That's easy. You can figure that out. It should be pretty easy, but unfortunately, of course, as we know, in the space here online as well as in the physical world, that's not always the easiest thing to do with us Black folks. So I don't know. I have to see what y'all think about that. Um, in the chat, like I said, what's going on, Doug? Oh, Malika, what's going on? Malika McBain in here. DM, how you doing? Tampa Supreme, what's good? AO, how you doing? Go Professor. Okay. Anti-Asian racism. I have to talk about that. There's somebody in particular. Matter of fact, I'll write that down. Somebody in particular that's a sub of mine that who also has put out content on science and tech. I'm gonna have to ask her to perhaps have that discussion if she feels like it. But my opinion on that, I think I've already given my opinion a few times, but the anti-Asian racism, I don't really understand it. Maybe I need more clarity, which is why I'm thinking of having a conversation with somebody who would be closer to that community. I don't really understand how you can come up with that, as an Asian person, like, excuse me, saying that there's anti-Asian racism, but you classify yourself as white. How can you be majority and minority at the same time? I don't understand that. But yeah, there's a lot of things that confuse me when it comes to societal issues, and that is currently one of them. So maybe I just need more, like I said, more clarity. Maybe I'm ignorant to certain things. I need to see what's going on. But I don't know. Nobody says anti-Black racism when I walk my Black ass up in your nail salon. Well, I haven't been in years, but over a decade. But walk up in your beauty supply. Well, I haven't been there a long time either. When I used to go to your beauty supply stores and you had a problem with me and I dropped my stuff I was about to buy on the floor and walked my Black ass out. Because I already know you being racist to somebody else and you looking at me crazy, following me around. Nobody said nothing about that. But moving on, I digress. That's a show on its own. Leonard, what's going on, Leonard? Leonard DeYuta. T. Riddler. I remember you, Leonard. Who else we got in here? Oh, Life of King Wage. Oh, I missed somebody. Hold on. Mr. Edward Hyde. Oh, thank you, sir. He got me the $20 with a little top hat. Okay. Put some respect on it. Thank you, sir. Sir Obadiah. AV Media, what's going on? Who else we got in here? Yeah, they do, and that's even with some of the things that Nameless has talked about. You can see that kind of mentality perpetuated. But I don't know, what y'all think. What y'all think about what I was talking about just a few minutes ago? Where, like, who do you really blame? For me personally, it's like, who do you blame? The person that lights the match, the person that strikes the flint to start a fire, or the person with intentions to hurt or kill or maim or whatever, injure somebody? Or do you blame the person that fans the flames, unintentionally or intentionally, to hurt somebody? For me, I blame the person or a group of people who strategically light a fire in a certain area. It's called arson, but that's a crime. That's who I would blame. And when I think to the teachings of Neely Fuller and many other scholars, Dr. Joy DeGruy, Dr. Frances Cress Wilson, rest in peace to her. I think about, like, who are we really talking about? Who are we directing this to? Because if you're a victim of a crime, you're the one that's burned up, and you're a victim of a crime, there is should be a repair system there for a person who's a victim. That's like blaming a rape victim who's 10 years old. Blame a child 10 years old being raped by her father. And you like, well, you know what? You ask the child what you have on when your daddy raped you. Everybody gonna say that's some bullshit, obviously. Clearly you blame the rapist, not the rape victim. But for some reason, when you a little darker, when you got a little bit too much color, you ain't a victim no more. Oh, thank you, Gold Professor. Thank you for the super chat. Said matched. We gonna help Daddy build that laboratory. Help build a laboratory. I don't know where you're gonna put it, because I don't want no laboratory in my house. I'm just telling you straight up. I don't want no laboratory. I don't want a laboratory here. Like I know what could happen, but hey, on down the line, get her little shed out back, something like that, little workshop. She could go out there and do her thing. I make sure I have the flame retardant in the walls, so she can't set nothing on fire and be the blame for another fire, some kind of issues. But yeah, that's what went through my head when I heard that conversation between Dr. Short and Dr. Randy Short. He has a lot of credentials, behind his name. And for somebody to invite him to their platform to give commentary on a particular subject, not really an interview, but more of an informal discussion about things, and you go in on this person who is probably older than you as well, that I didn't like that. I don't like that. Having a debate is not the same as attacking somebody. If you disagree with that person, fine. You disagree. You may, if you listen long enough, you may actually come to a consensus and agreement on some things that you would not have previously thought you would agree on. Like you might come to a thing like, oh, dang, you have that, like a spark, in your head, like, oh, dang, I've said that before. You know what? He might be right. That's something I got to think about. Going in on somebody because you don't like that the people in our community who are fanning the flames and making things worse from your perspective, but avoiding the group of people who continue to perpetuate running around, lighting fires here, lighting fires there, keeping things going, and then paying people off to fan the flames. You're not recognizing, perhaps, maybe you're not looking at it from a holistic point of view. That's all I'm saying. But, I could be wrong. And that's one thing I think as Black people, I think we should focus on embracing. There is a possibility that you might be wrong. And that's okay if you're wrong. Hell, I'm wrong all the time. I'm like, okay, dang, I was wrong on that. I might get mad for like a couple of minutes. I'll be like, well, I don't think I was wrong right there. I don't think I was wrong. And they'd be like, well, the person I'm having an argument or a discussion with, well, nah, you was wrong with that. Like, well, I'm gonna have to think about that. They be like, don't talk about it no more. I'm like, fine. As soon as they leave, they be like, they gone. They here, but when they leave, I'm gonna keep talking. Like, I'm gonna go in again. And I'm thinking that I'm like, wait, this is stupid. Like, either I'm right or wrong. If I'm wrong, cool, whatever. Keep it moving. How you gonna learn if you never wrong? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, I agree, DM. Yeah. but should have been happening earlier. I agree with that. That you're not considered. Yeah, you're not considered human. You never be seen as a victim. Correct. If you're seen as a slave, as a machine, reigning woman, she in the house. Yeah, Malika, you're right. When you're not considered a human being, you will never be seen as a victim. When you're seen as a machine, it's something that can be used for somebody else's benefit, for somebody else's success. You're seen as a footstool. You're seen as a stepladder. Then seeing you as a victim, you're not human at that point. You're a utility, at that point. And I'm highlighting random woman right here because I've heard a lot of her streams, and she has talked about it's okay to accept that you may not be right here. It's okay to accept things as they come. Don't try to predict, I'm gonna be right all day. I'm gonna be wrong once. No, that's crazy. In doing that, you're putting yourself into a machine category because nobody can predict that. I'm listening. How you doing? C Shields, thank you so much for the super chat. So, and thank you everybody for coming. Y'all hit that like button if you haven't already. I keep forgetting to say that, but y'all know what it is. Hit that like button. You can also support on Cash App, as you see at the bottom of the screen. $NikoleAli, all one word. Because y'all know YouTube be taking 30% on these super chats. But that's just another option. If you want to contribute to my channel, it's much appreciated. But yeah, that's what I thought. Now, going into some of the drama that's been happening, I don't obviously have any place in it as far as I'm not going to speak to it, speak against it. It is what it is. Y'all, people can do their own commentary on it. But from, I guess, drama in general, that was how I was looking at it. Who are you really talking to? Who are you really blaming for a situation? Are you blaming the person that initiated it, which we already know the group that has done that, or and focusing on them? I go back to a lot of things that Gus T. Renegade has said. He has said this group is the problem. And you want to prevent or reduce confusion. Hopefully my channel is doing that when it comes to the area of STEM. Yesterday on Dr. Tiosan Johnson's channel, he had a stream on there and he wanted to honor BGS. And so when I was there with Dr. Dunbar, it wasn't, just real quick, briefly honoring BGS for what he's done here in the space for us. I was thinking about that and I was like, okay, you have a person who has helped so many people and don't ask for credit. Just be like, okay, it is what it is. And that's what, I'm very appreciative and thankful for that. And I mentioned on there that I only wish that one major thing I wish is that more Black parents would contact me directly about their children, or students, or children in their family or whatnot for help, at least in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, because I'm a resource to help them. I'm not only a resource here to show you things that mainstream media is not going to show you when it comes to those areas of activity, but also to help parents, because my parents had people helping them to help me, and so that's what I would hope. I really wish that would happen more this year. It happened a little bit more last year, but I still have more and more people who are not Black, who do not look like me, contacted me consistently about their students. And I'm like, well, the stuff that I'm promoting, your child is not qualified. I can't lie. It does make me feel kind of, feel some kind of way, like to say that, oh, your child does not qualify. Because, we always get, you don't qualify, you Black, you don't qualify, they don't say you Black anymore, but they're like, oh, you don't qualify for this. I'm so sorry. C Shields, I know that you have your application in and everything's cool, but sorry, you don't qualify. You just don't qualify for some of the things that we need you to do here. And so, yeah, bitch, like, that's how you feel, like, bitch. But it's always that one with that ponytail. I want to grab that ponytail, throw it against the wall. My bad. So, they'll be like, reigning woman. They're like, reigning woman, your application is great. This is awesome. But I just don't know. Like, I don't know what else you could bring to the space, to our little family here at this work environment. And you looking like, the hell? Girl, I got more education and more intelligence and experience than you. And my pinky finger. So for me to tell those parents, like, well, your child does not qualify, and they ask me why, I wait for them to say why. Oh, it's simple. Your child ain't Black. This is a program for minority students. Your child is not classified as a minority. This program is based on historically Black colleges and universities founded by slave owners, built by slaves, and this program is predominantly Black. So due to the grant requirements from National Science Foundation, Department of Defense, NIH, NCI, whatever alphabet you want to pull out, based on that, your child does not qualify, number one. Is there a problem with that? Because I'm just letting you know, you put this application in, it's going to get rejected. They're like, well, that's, it's what? Reverse racism? Is that what you're going to say? I'm waiting for it. Well, that's just got to change. No, it's not. So, but I'll direct you some other programs that you can look at for your student, or for your child to go look at. You can do that. That's fine. I have no issue with that. And most of the time they have no issue. They have no problem. They keep moving. And they take their student where they are eligible, primarily whatever that is, whatever program they're going to put them in. But I would prefer to say yes more, which would be for our people saying yes. Nasayana, thank you so much for the super chat. What's going on, Rodney? Yeah, and I didn't get a chance to say that yesterday on Dr. Tiasan Johnson's stream, but and that's fine. I know he has time constraints and stuff. He's a very busy man, and he had an after hours after that, I think, so a stream after that. So I was like, okay, that's cool. But that's what I wanted to say. Like I want to be able to say yes to more people than no, not as a pushover, because that ain't gonna happen. But I'm just saying as a person that would help people be able to help people instead of wasting my time with people that don't look like me, who think they can put their child in a program that ain't for them. And they know it ain't for them. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Especially children that are in junior high, 7th grade, 7th, 8th grade, 9th grade, those types of programs. So I'm planning to do a stream on resources for junior high and high school students, the AMP programs, Alliance for Minority Participation programs, and getting more Black boys interested in these programs. Because when I was in these programs, learning about technology, first of all, I started out with AHEC, which is Allied Health Education Consortium, I think, for South Carolina AHEC. That was when I was like in 9th and 10th grade. So they already, in that program, you already know you're going into college and you're going to a trade school for something related with health, nursing, technologist type person, phlebotomy, radiation tech, something like that. You're going to be doing something. And so that's what I was doing. My parents were filling out applications when I was in 8th grade. And I went into it, I think around 9th and 10th grade. If you got in that program by 11th or 12th grade, you were behind the 8 ball, because most of us in 10th grade, we already knew what college we was going to. We damn near knew what kind of dorm we was going to live in, But I digress. That's just something that I think a lot of Black parents don't know, because I can't say that people say, oh, well, you don't know because you're not asking the right questions at your child's high school. You're not asking the guidance counselor the right question. No, the information has been hidden for us for how long? And you talking about something we don't know what questions to ask? Really? If you ain't ever seen a glass of milk, you don't know nothing about milk. You don't know what this is when somebody put it in front of you. Like, what the hell is this white stuff in this glass in front of me? You've been seeing water and apple juice your whole life. And 17 years old, somebody put a glass of milk in front of you. Ain't never seen milk. Ain't never been to the grocery store. Ain't never had to go milk a cow. Ain't never seen, you never seen a glass of milk. You never seen a jug of milk in your life. Now all of a sudden, somebody put a glass of milk in front of you at 17 years old, and they expect you to know everything about milk. You can kick rocks with that. Telling people what they should know to ask the guidance counselor, as if they care. Because I know my guidance counselor sure didn't care. My daddy cussed her out when she said, well, your daughter is more suited she's actually more suited based on the ASVAB test. She would actually be more suited for the military, or, which I know y'all gonna laugh. She would actually be more suited for the military, or he was like, what? Or she would be suited for a technical school. At that time we still had shop and home ec, and we had, my school, we had Future Farmers of America. We had robotics class and all this type of stuff. She talking about I would be more suited for, going straight to the military from high school. I'm a nerd with thick ass glasses, with wearing high waters because I thought it was in style. I could do my own thing. With, a big ass book bag that was bigger than me and ponytail. Okay, that was me, the nerd, straight up. What's going on, Bishop? They keep the information from you, right? And he was like, when she said that to him, he was like, no. Do you have the right paper on the desk? She was like, yeah, this is the paper right here. Here's her name right here. It's Nicole, blah, blah, blah. She done did this and that and that. Mind you, my GPA at that time was a 3.9. I graduated with 3.99. I was pissed off until like second year college for that, because I was like, shit, I couldn't get to a 4. Like, I was so mad because I was on a 5 scale. So I was actually low. But I was mad that this woman gonna sit there. He was mad. He cussed her out because he was like, okay, and people at different places telling him, you should have asked this, you should have asked that. He didn't know to ask those questions. And so he said, forget the guidance counselor. We're gonna do our own thing. That's when things started to roll. Because my dad said, we're just gonna make it happen. But now, at this time, 2021, you don't have to make things happen. You have resources out here to help you. We have people in this space, which is not something you normally would see, who can help you, who can help your child, or children, like I said, children in your family, to learn about some of these skills, learn about some of the opportunities. When I say opportunities, everybody like, oh, well, opportunity to, people try to make it all pretty and stuff. Oh yeah, learn about the opportunity to do X, Y, Z. This, no, I'm talking about the opportunity to get some money. Okay, yes, money. Y'all might say, oh, she's capitalist. Goddamn right. We live on money. You need money. Okay, your child's 15 years old. Let's give them some money. Your child's 17, 18 years old. Let's get them some money. Like, what is wrong with that? I had a job at 15, 16. Had to quit the job to go do ed to get more money. More money, more money. I was not playing. My dad was like, whatever you do, make sure you don't pay for no school and make sure you work while you in school. That's what he told me. Don't pay for no school, get your scholarship and grants, no loans, and make sure you work while you are in school. My mom was like, that's too much for her. She's going into college. She's only 17. That's too much for her. He was like, fuck all that. You gonna work. You gonna work. You gonna work. And you gonna go to school for free. Okay. And I was like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I already had my scholarship on deck. Thank you, Malika. I'm gonna read that in a minute. I had my scholarship. Then I had to apply for the job. Got the job. So I was working 2 jobs freshman year. One in the library, tutoring football and basketball and soccer players, male and female, and the other job working in the lab, learning how to order chemicals and supplies for the lab, learning how to process different chemicals and put different compounds together, developing my own project so I could write a grant when I was a senior in undergrad so that I could go to grad school. That's what my parents did for me. They didn't sit around in the manosphere or sit around over on somebody else's beef channel or sit around well, it wasn't no channels like that back then, but you know what I'm talking about. They didn't sit around at the beauty supply store or the beauty salon or the barbershop or the church or the pig feet hot dog picnic at church or something and be waiting for people to tell them what they should do with their child. No. My dad was like, where the money at? Anytime the church had a program, he was like, where the money at? What a stipend? They were like, well, we don't have a stipend. Okay, thank you, sir. Have a good day. He got right back up. I'm going to go ahead and go. Thank you, sir. This coffee was good. You have a good one. Let's go. But daddy, this is a good opportunity. They ain't got no money. Let's go. They broke. Let's go. I don't deal with broke folks. They got money. This is a church. A 501c3. You tax free. I know you got money because you ain't building the building fund. You ain't putting nothing into that. So you got money somewhere. But let me digress. Malika, thank you for the super chat. $10. He said, many of our people don't inquire our own people within economic, scholastic, and political fields to help our kids. We must reprogram our thinking to help build our legacies, children, and communities. Absolutely, I agree. Oh, thank you, BGS. He said, tell them Queen of Saints. Yeah, I agree. Malika, you're absolutely right. You have to have, and see, this is like, it's not just us, I don't think, but I'm not concerned with other people, but I'll just have to say that it's not just us. That we have to reprogram the thinking because otherwise, you know, nothing is going to happen. You're going to keep going around in a circle and nothing will change. You won't have any progress. So the lab grown embryos, let me switch gears a little bit. BGS sent this article today and I was like, okay, wow, let me look at this. You know, at first I had to be honest with you, BGS. I thought it was some bullshit. I was like, man, this is like some bullshit. I was like, man, it's like some bullshit right here. I mean, I'm very skeptical right now. You know, you get a little grant money, be like, man, I don't know about their research. It's like, I don't know about them, some trash. Because, you know, you got your grant going and everything's good. You be like real skeptical of everybody else's stuff and critical, like, ooh, I got to analyze this. So I looked at it and I said, okay, let me find a video on it. Because it's something like this where you're talking about growing embryos in an artificial chamber that's developed specifically for that reason. There's a video somewhere on it. Sure enough, this laboratory has a video on this subject. I'm gonna try to share my screen real quick. I'm just switching gears because I think everybody got the point of what I was trying to say earlier about, you know, contacting some of us who are in these fields. Let me see. Application window. There it is. So hopefully I can see this My screen is sharing. Matter of fact, let me go back here and just put the whole thing on. There we go. So, and y'all let me know if you can see that. Just put a 1 in the chat if you can see it. I can see it on my other screen, so I know y'all can probably see that. But the article, now if BGS, if you want BGS to send it to you, if he wants to send it to you, then he'll send you the link. However, you have to have a certain certain access from an institution that they allow to get this, because this is from Nature. And Nature is thank you, Malika. Nature is like number one when it comes to any kind of research, especially genetic research right now, COVID research, any kind of genetic research. So if you need this link, matter of fact, I'll just put the link in the chat. Let me go back, because if you just search from certain links, it'll just have the abstract, which I cannot stand. They just show you the abstract, no pictures, anything. But if you do click on a link that is sent by somebody and there is just the abstract and they try to charge you $199 to see the article, please don't do that. Don't be silly. Don't do that. Save your money. Don't do it. Don't do it. Just search the article title, like this title right here, and put it in Google, click images, and you should be able to see all the data. That's all you have to do. So the title is Ex Utero Mouse Embryogenesis from Pregastrulation to Late Organogenesis. I know it's a lot of stuff in the title. All they're saying is they grew baby mice outside of the mother's uterus. And they looked at it when you have the gastrulation that occurs, which means the embryo is developing properly, to the late stage of the organs developing. That's all it's saying. So hopefully I'm not trying to confuse people with this. So I'm gonna come down to the results. Oh yes, another thing I wanted to say, because this has a watermark in the middle, it says accelerated article preview. That means this article was pushed out quickly to be released to the public. So they've been holding it. They're sitting on it for a while, and they finally released it. So this figure right here is a very important figure, because not only does it show how they did the work, it gives a timeline of what they did from each day to grow these embryos. I'm gonna blow it up a little bit so y'all can see it better. Let's see. So they use a roller culture method where they put the embryos in here in media. These little blue dots are tubes. They put it on a little roller, they turn it on, and it rolls. And then there's pressure in oxygen and carbon dioxide that is circulating inside to keep these embryos moving in a circle. So this centripetal movement, and they're not moving fast, it's a very slow process. But inside of this bottle, I think they have, I think this is where the gas exchange is occurring. Of course, with the condensation of the air, you're going to have H2O. So that feeds back in. And then I think the red, usually for us, when we do any kind of tissue culture, red means carbon dioxide, blue means oxygen, and green means exchange, where you can regulate the exchange. And then red is like waste or something, like the second one that's on the edge. But you put gases next to each other: carbon dioxide, oxygen, regulator, and then waste. So then this is a little control box. So in ex utero. So what they did was they got female mice pregnant, took the embryos out at a certain day, E7.5, which is a mouse day. They have the embryos there, or excuse me, the blastocyst embryo that's there is just starting to develop. At that point, it's 5% oxygen, 5% CO2. The pressure stays the same throughout the whole process. Day 1, they increase the oxygen. And they also add 3 milligrams per mil. I think this is glucose. They have to have some kind of sugar there. Day 2, they increase the oxygen again, increase the glucose. Day 3, they increase the oxygen again to day 4, and they increase the glucose again. So you increase the glucose very slowly, and you increase the oxygen very quickly. 21% oxygen is standard. That we can breathe that oxygen. With CO2 at 5%. So that's fine. That's standard atmosphere for us to breathe. And also standard atmosphere for a human baby to breathe and to survive and to develop organs properly. Thank you, Cowboys Nation and Doug, for the super chat. So this is the real image from the picture, the little cartoon they have there. They have the real image here. So here's where they put the little vials in there. And then here to the right, they show, for me, I was like, oh, that's so cool. Because I was like, I want to see, when I was reading it in the beginning, I said, wait, I want to see how it looks in utero and out of utero, ex utero. So in utero, they've taken embryos out of the female mouse at different days. And then they have dissected yolk sac at different days of development. And then ex utero, it's the same thing. So what you're doing visually is comparing the development for in utero and out of utero. And if you look at the dissected yolk sac development, it's practically the same as in utero. So that's like a safety precaution. Because if there was some issue, then people would not trust this technique. They wouldn't have published it either. They wouldn't have let them publish it. And for the rest of the paper, what they really talk about is like stem cell markers, neuroendocrine markers, embryogenesis markers, which also, unfortunately, are cancer markers too. Tissue development markers, mesenchymal markers, epithelial markers. When I say markers, I mean a gene. So SOX2 is a gene. SOX9 is a gene. These are stem markers. People who don't like to talk about stem cells, you can click off and come back later or something. I don't know. But I mean, everything you got going on right now as far as medicine deals with stem cells some way or another. Especially if you have somebody who's paralyzed or who's had a stroke or Parkinson's disease or Alzheimer's. That's what they're doing right now, stem cell research. So here they show SOX2 is in purple. DAPI is just showing you cells that have a nuclei. The cells with a nucleus, right? So any blue you see top and bottom is cells that have nuclei, cells that have DNA. So a lot of these, all of these mice, all of these embryos are actually doing what they're supposed to do. They're functional. They have DNA. They're real. Okay. Let me blow up this image a little bit. So there is SOX2 in the, looks like frontal cortex and perhaps cerebellum will be the cerebellum of the mouse brain. And SOX9 in hindbrain frontal cortex area. And here, the spinal cord area, which would be the spinal cord area, and even the front, going all the way down to the tail here. So that is function. That is very, very clear. You can see that. I mean, I've never seen these images this clear before. I don't know what kind of microscopy they're using, but I mean, it's very good. And so day 1 here for this particular embryo, you're looking at the ventral side of the mouse, the front. This is the right hemisphere of the brain, left hemisphere of the brain, left side of the face, right side of the face. This would be where the mouth and nose would be. This is the front, or the back side of the tail, flip forward towards you. You know, the limbs are not developed yet. Day 1. Day 2, this is what is this? Right lateral side of the mouse. This is the front side, which would be where the face, the brain area would be, frontal cortex area, all that. Or excuse me, frontal lobe area. And day 3, day 4. And people ask, why do they use mice? Because they develop so quickly. This development right here, you would not see this in a human. It would also be unethical to see this in a human. And then some of these, let me zoom it back out. Okay. Some of the images they have go into detail about different functions, biological functions, gastric functions. This is showing like, yeah, this one people probably won't like, but I'm just going to say it anyway. What they did was they took the embryos that developed to a certain point, certain day, and they chopped them up. They took the little mouse embryos, and they chopped them up with scissors, or, cut them up. Then they homogenized them, meaning that they blended them up, essentially blended them up. And with the little homogenizer, which is just a little tool that, very small blender type of tool. And you see that these cells from that blended up embryo code for these functions: foregut, mid hindgut, and so forth. Blood, endothelial cells, neural tube, mid hindbrain, neural tube, like all amnion or amniotic fluid, 3 different components of that. So what they're saying here is that the embryos are functional. That's what they're saying in that particular figure. Because people always say, well, they make these things in artificial wombs, which is what they're doing with that machine. Oh, well, who knows if the embryos are functional outside of the womb? They are. If you're looking at what genes code for what, those functions, that's permanent. That does not change. Then they go into some of the other gene groups. Then they go into more developmental processes of these different genes. What type of cells these genes code for. How many. And the lighter the color, this side is not what I'm really worried about. I'm looking at this side. The lighter the color, the less intense that function is for those genes, for those types of cells too. The darker the color, the more intense or the more important the gene is for from those particular cells. And then they go in more and more detail. Like they have a lot of detail. I think that was their last figure actually, because they put their figures in the middle. Let me see. Yeah. So they did lentiviral infection to get some of the colors to show up. And they also use a certain type of mouse that we cannot afford. I probably wouldn't buy these types of mice. I would just make it myself and get a patent, but that's probably what they did. But I'm not gonna, I wouldn't buy the mice they made, because you'd have to give them like consultant or collaborator or consultant credit every time you use them, and I ain't up for all that. I would just make them myself, make these mice myself with electroporation or lentiviral infection, the same way they did it, and I would just kind of make it, my own, make it unique, like the green fluorescent protein, which is green, SOX2 is red. What is this? 2-1 is pink. I don't know why they would put pink and red together, but that's kind of silly. But yeah, that's what they did here. And all they're doing is looking at like how these different genes come, like increase or decrease in expression over time. That's it. But like I said, I would actually, if I was going to try this, I would try to make everything as unique to my laboratory as possible, especially when I'm training a younger person, so that they can learn how to make things themselves instead of just always depending on buying it from someone. If you can make it yourself, then you're good. People will buy it from you. and you're 22, 23 years old, you got patents, and somebody buying licensed materials from you, genetic material. That's a big deal. It should be a big deal. It's a big deal to a lot of the Asians. Sorry to say it, but it's some reason it's not a big deal for our students. I really try to get them to, be more engaged in ownership of their intellectual property. You make something from scratch, put your name on it, patent it, trademark it, license it, get something out of that. Hell, I mean, you can develop certain things like mouse strains, and start a company of just your own mouse strains that you have. You want to do whatever it is. So anyway, I'm gonna stop there. I'm gonna go to this this little video. I'm gonna put it in fast mode. Actually, I'm just gonna play it a little quicker than normal. And I'll try to remember to leave this link. I'm not gonna play the whole thing. It's just gonna be like the first minute or so. But this is just embryo dissection. This is how they do the work with the mice in the beginning. I'll put the link in the chat in a minute, and I'll see if there's anybody who's backstage want to come in. But what they're doing right here, this female mouse, she's pregnant. She's clearly been cervically dislocated. They've broken her neck, so she's dead. And he's working in real time. He's not working as fast, but you have to work kind of fast because rigor mortis sets in. So these are all the embryos. If you saw that, hopefully, all those little dots. Let me slow it down some. Put it on normal and back it up. Back it up. Okay, so I'll put it on normal. That was too fast for some people. My apologies. So here he's cutting, he or she is cutting. I think this is Dr. Hannah doing this work, but every little bead you see is an embryo. If you can see that. And then he goes to separate them. He's starting to segregate them. And this is probably PBS, or probably PBS, probably not water, but phosphate buffered saline solution, which is fine because the outer covering of the embryos have enough nutrients to last the embryos for like 24 hours. So they're okay. He's not going to just leave them there. So now you have 2 embryos. He's putting them in doublet. And so you probably had around 10 to 12 viable embryos in the female mouse, depending on how old she was. She didn't look that fat, and she didn't look old because her around her abdomen, it was not a lot of fat. So I'm thinking she had to be like less than 12 weeks old. Because if they're over 3 months old, they start to get fat. And sometimes they can't have as many pups when they're old like that. They're old and fat. This is like what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, probably about 12 pups that she would have had. Now he's taking 1 embryo at a time. He's gonna cut out the outer layer of the embryo. So you have to kind of separate this outer covering, which is where the nutrients are going in. Remember, he cut off the blood supply, but there's still a separate factor of nutrients that are for each embryo as well. Patent on the fluorescent proteins, probably from the company. They probably have trademarked that and copyright. Yeah. Because the company is where they get the GFP and stuff from, but the fluorescent protein virus is what they would use to make the mouse accept certain stains. The dye, I mean, you can get that from the company for like $100, $200 or something, not that much. So now this is the image underneath the microscope where you're seeing the blastocyst being, broken down to its very simple parts, removing a lot of extra tissue around it. And so right here, okay, let me go back. pause it. Right here was where the important part is. From this little black area here, which is where the embryo is going to come from, all the way down this part here. This is just extra tissue and it's probably some blood. But this little black midline area and down here, all this is important. That's where the embryo is going to come from. The embryo is actually this black part, and this kind of grayish part here at the bottom is where the embryo is going to grow into this sac, amniotic sac. And then they have another part they go into, like heating up the media. So I'm going to play this part and that'll be it. So they're using rat serum to produce as a component of the media, to put the media together. They're using a 0.2 micron filter, this yellow filter, with probably a 10 mil syringe. Put the syringe into a 50 mil conical tube, pour the serum in there. It's 8 mils. Well, 9 mils probably. Yeah, 9 mils they put in there, but he only needs 8. And then you push the plunger down and the serum will go into the 50 mil conical. They're using rat serum for mouse embryos because they're very close genetically. And nobody has mouse serum. Mouse serum is hard to get. Now, this little white powder they're putting in there is sodium bicarbonate. You need sodium bicarbonate because it helps with stabilizing the pH of the media. You don't want the media too basic or too acidic. If it's too acidic, the embryos will die. You also have to compensate for CO2 and oxygen levels that are going to be changing. So that's why they put sodium bicarbonate. Now he's adding the serum that he put in there before. I think it was 4 mils of serum. And then this black tube has Becko's modified Eagles medium, DMEM. It's light sensitive because it probably has, it doesn't have any phenol red. It's just clear. And put 2 mils of that in here. And Becko's is usually standard media. Then they're going to put Hank's Buffered solution, HBS, in there. And that's going to be for stabilizing the acidity level. So if the media starts to turn too yellow or too red, they know it's a problem with the acidity. Or if it starts to turn purple or green, then they know they have a bacterial infection or a virus infection or fungus, contamination. So that's what that's for. Hess is also used for the same reason. It's just a salt buffer used for like determining pH and stuff. And then they've labeled 4 different bottles that they're going to put embryos in. The embryos 1, 2, 3, 4, and the mouse, mouse date of living is E8.5. They have that. And I don't like how, first of all, hold on, y'all. Mr. Hannah, Dr. Hannah, you're not supposed to have this stuff. I have to go black, y'all. I'm sorry. You're not supposed to have this stuff this close to the edge of this hood. I just realized something right here. You're not supposed to have this stuff that close to the edge at the air vent. I know BJ's gonna say something, but you need to push all of this back. I just wanted to say that for students or anybody who's in the chat who may have this, show it to their child or doing work like this. Anybody that works in the hood, you're not supposed to have stuff this close. These bottles should be over here, and this should be way over there. But I think for the filming, which I wouldn't have cared, I would have pushed it back. But I just want to mention this is improper work right here. This should not be this close, and they should not be going in and out of the hood with their hands. You see the hands? This is a no, sir. No. You messing up right here. This must be a technician or something. It must not be Dr. Hannah. Look at that. Nope. Hold on, y'all. Why is your hand over here? Nigga. What are you doing? I'm sorry. Let me go ahead and let it play. Ugh, that's improper conduct, improper scientific conduct. Anyway, so that's that, and then I'm gonna show how they just put it in the machine. He's loading it up. They're loading it up into the machine. You remember the picture? So this is the condensation. The gas exchange is going to be going on inside of this box. Embryos are in there, or the media is in there, excuse me. Then they're going to put the embryos in later. But you have to equilibrate the media, then put the embryos in there. And it will spin. They put the lid down, and that's pretty much it. So I'm going to come back to my stream here. I had to say that. I'm sorry. You said I want to redo all our DNA tests. Yes, of course. That is the wrong technique. That is not what you're supposed to do. But I think they were just doing that for a demonstration. For me, I don't care if it's demonstration. I don't care if it's a real thing. That is improper laboratory procedures and practices. Yes, you have an F, sir. And Malika has an A for the day. Forget all that. Now that is not right. And how would I know? Because I do work with hoods like every day. But besides that improper, use of laboratory equipment, in the biosafety cabinet, that is how they made these artificial womb lab-grown embryos. And the rest of the video, I'm gonna put the link here so y'all can watch it at your leisure. What's going on, GS?
Yeah, well, the Matrix is here.
Oh, yeah.
What I'm saying is, this is singularity. So, this is what I was been waiting on. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, this is what they've been waiting on. So, if you don't believe that the singularity is coming, it's here. Because if you think about CRISPR, they discovered the CRISPR organism in 2009, and they're putting the stuff in your arms already 10 years later. So
Right.
with billions of with the millions of people working on this stuff at the same time, you have to believe that they're not the only ones working on this.
Yeah, of course not. I think that they are probably behind because I looked at like their references, and when I look at some of the articles, I always go to the references, and I just search for dates, try to find the earliest date for the references. I start from like 1960, come up, I just go to the find, what is it, function F or control F, and try to find 1960, 1961, all the way up to like 1970. A lot of times I don't get any dates show up until like 1978, 1982. 92 to 97, it'd be a lot of papers, talking about this subject. And then some of the DARPA research, because that was another tab I had up there. Some of the DARPA research is looking at it from the opposite direction, where they want to see, what was that title? Microfluidics for sperm research is one of the titles of the papers. Microfluidics. And they go through very detailed on how they used microfluidics. And that was the first article that showed up when I Googled DARPA research on embryos. Like just something like that. Yeah. That was the first thing that shows up. It's just like, hey, yeah, we've been doing this for a while. So when I searched that article, I think the earliest reference that comes up is from like 1991. And this paper was published, let me see. This was published in 2015. The title is, it's a review paper, and the link is extremely long. So let me try to, I think they did it on purpose. Yeah, but that's the title, Microfluidics and Sperm Research. So they're just looking at the opposite direction. This paper I was showing in the video goes with the paper. It's part of their publication, but that is talking about from the embryo perspective. But you can also enhance sperm activity levels if you can use microfluidics. You can enhance sperm competition. You can enhance sperm activity. So if you put those two things together, now you have something that can be controlled through the mechanics. That's all I noticed. But yeah,
The pro
thank you for
the
putting that link though, because I was like, okay, this at first I was like, I don't know, BGS. Like, I don't
Well,
know. And I looked, I was
it's
like, okay.
it was in the New York Times, so and it was one of my think tank
Hmm.
members. He found it, and I said,
Yeah,
"Oh, you know, I have to ask."
yeah.
I
I was
said,
looking like, I don't know, because some people have so many wacky things out there. I saw New York Times, but I still was skeptical because they publish stuff that's sometimes like what is it, bio RXRV.
"Yeah,
And I'm like, man, this is some like, people who can't get their articles in Nature, they'll put it into like that.
oh,
And
yeah,
that's like a application to work for, like black site projects and stuff, because they know that you can't get it into Nature. Nature is number one. So yeah, when I saw that, I said, oh, okay. But I went straight for the link, the colors.
okay."
In the Times article, I just went, oh, let me find a hyperlink. Oh, there it is. I clicked it, Nature. Okay. I said, all right.
It's legit, and they
Yeah,
put a
it's legit.
rush on. They put a rush on it. That means there's money behind it. So,
Yes, yes, and that's what I hope that our people could understand, because when black people see stuff like that, they still won't believe it. But like you can see it right there, he's doing, or he or she is doing the work right there in your face. And there are a lot of students that are coming up in undergrad who will learn how to
mhm.
do a lot of these techniques. They have to.
The thing is that when I think about artificial wombs and I think about stuff like that, I imagine it to be way more complex than it actually turns out to be. And I'm looking at him going through the process, and I said, seems awfully. I mean, I'm sure that the solutions that he's using is highly developed. The thing is, the process seems a lot more less
Simple.
complicated, simplified than I imagined.
It is
So,
very simple, because it has to be simplified, streamlined, because
mhm.
the most important thing in science, any kind of research, you have to repeatability and
and,
reproducibility.
and scale if you're gonna,
Yes, you have to
yeah,
scale everything down.
yeah, yes,
Like
yes.
he can repeat that, like he gonna have to repeat it, because from that video, you did that wrong, honey. You was doing that wrong. You did. That is not proper protocol. That is not the technique.
All right, Mama, calm down, Mama.
See, I think they want because they had, they had the certain
Oh,
buffers that will help you to know if it's contaminated. But I didn't want to
mhm,
waste embryos and then things get contaminated. The other thing
mhm,
is, like, for that type of project,
mhm,
they scale probably wasn't an issue because they had so many mice. You have to
mhm,
think about how many mice they need to get some of those grafts.
mhm.
They had to have a lot of mice. And I'm looking like, okay, they didn't have a lot of worry about scale as far as, well, we need 10 mice for this group. 10, they
Yeah.
probably had, like,
I mean, what I'm saying when I say
50
scale, I
mice.
mean, when I say scale, in other words, the thing about science is repeatability and eventually scale it. Can you scale up? In other words, put it into production. You
Yes.
know, yeah,
Yes.
and that's it. And it's also basically I'm looking at it. I said this process seems, it's almost unbelievable because is it really that simple? That's what I was looking at. I said, can it really be that simple?
Yes. And the next thing you would do next thing I would do is determining how you could induce certain. I mean, no, it sounds kind of unethical. I know David's gonna get me.
It's it no,
You
it,
know,
it's going to come. So it doesn't matter because if you're not doing it, the Chinese are going to do it, and the
right.
Chinese are probably flying. Have a supersonic jet coming to kidnap you and whisk you away.
I mean,
I hope not.
I could
you,
see, like,
you work for us now.
they can induce a lot of different diseases
uh,
into that process, because they had to cross certain female with a certain mouse, and
mm,
then back cross that female after she had her first set of pups. When I was reading through the methods, you had to
mm,
back cross her with another type of male, and then cross those pups. So she has pups from two different males with
okay.
two different genetic backgrounds,
Wow.
and
Okay.
cross those pups, which are brother and sister, same mom, different
o-
dad,
Okay.
cross those pups together to get a strain of mice that you can use for this type of research.
Okay. So they're really particular.
Yes, very
Okay.
specific. But the reason why they did that
Hmm.
is so that it's harder to do what we just said, reproduce this.
Oh, okay.
It'll
Okay.
make it hard because once you do all that back crossing and switch crossing and incesting and all that mess that we have to do, after you
Okay.
do all of that, you have a genetic library of each mouse that you've been crossing. All
Okay.
the females, all the males, all the pups, and so you have a genetic library for each type of mouse. And what you can do with that genetic library is you can take their, look at the genetics, insert viral DNA into
Hmm.
that genetic code, create a viral vector, and
Hmm.
inject that viral vector intranasally or intravenously
Hmm.
into a nude mouse that has not seen anything. Now
Hmm.
you have a brand new genetic code, and if you inject into a female that's pregnant, all
Hmm.
her pups gonna get it. She gonna get.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
So now you have a brand new strain of mice that nobody has seen before, and you can use that strain of mice to trademark. You're gonna patent it, but you have to get a trademark on that technique and that mouse, that license on that mouse.
Mm.
Now
Okay.
you can sell it to Jackson Laboratories for $1 billion or whatever.
Oh
That's
wow.
how people do it because
Wow.
Jackson is like number one. Jackson Laboratory, and there's another one I forget the name, but Jackson that's international. You can't. I mean, nobody really goes above. Nobody argues with Jackson Labs when it comes to their mice because the strains are so perfect.
Hmm.
For whatever you want. I want a strain of mice that develops leukemia 2 days after being born. They'll do
Wow.
it.
That's specific, huh?
Very specific. I
Wow.
want I want a mouse like for me. I need a mouse. Well, I ain't gonna buy it from them because they're too high. But I'm gonna just make it myself. I'm gonna make it myself. I want a strain of mouse that has diabetes, basically that's fat and that cannot lose the weight before they die. Like before they can't lose the weight and they keep their cholesterol levels stay high because I
Mm.
want to see how high cholesterol promotes aging
Okay.
for the mouse. So I'm not about to go to them and tell them that so they can turn around and make it before I come back and they got a patent on me. No, and I have to go shoot them. I'm just playing. I'm not gonna shoot them. I have to look them up, pay them a little visit. I'm not about to, what I'm saying? I'm not gonna tell them so they can go, oh, we're gonna do that too. No, I'm not gonna do that. They charge you $2,000 to $10,000 per mouse.
Wow. Okay,
Gee
that's a lot.
whiz.
That's 4,000. That's
Well,
4,000, 20,000 for a pair.
yeah, there's highly specific genetics
So
and that
4K
Yes.
is just
train
for a
for 'em.
specific pair of mice?
Yeah, if you want, because they have to edit the genes and actually make those mice susceptible, so they're highly specific and highly
Yeah.
original. So that's what you're paying for.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
That's what you
Yeah.
pay for.
Yeah.
You tell them what genetic library you have, and sometimes they won't take it because they won't even take it from you because or things have to be encrypted or whatever because they don't want to be in trouble for misediting something.
Hmm.
You have to tell them specifically what you want them to put into the mouse,
Okay.
how you want the mouse the phenotype, genotype. Is this going to affect their pheromones? It's going to affect hormone production, all that kind of stuff. Like you can make unique male mice.
Hmm.
You can make them already. They can make mice. I know there's one study they were doing in Japan. I was like, oh my God, like they so worried about getting prostate cancer. It's ridiculous. Like it's going to happen. Y'all getting older, it's going to happen. But they don't want to be American with all the prostate cancer, testicular cancer issues, but they keep putting stuff in their food.
Hmm.
Right. So they they were saying we want a mouse that in order to study the development of prostate cancer to prevent us from having to castrate these mice, let's
Hmm.
just have male mice that never develop the testes properly.
Wow. Okay.
Ugh.
So I was like, that's a female mouse. No, we want to have a mouse but
It- he's still,
he still produces inadvertently produces testosterone from
okay.
estrogen. Y'all
Okay.
doing
He just doesn't. It just has no place to go. Huh?
plasma. So what you can get what they wanted to do was the estrogen to testosterone thing. I was like, that's stupid. So they ended up doing because they had a lot of failures with that. obviously. So because you don't want a mouse that has like, that has udder, like, not, what are the udders, like, what they not call udders, what they call little they have nipples, they have lactation. You don't
Okay.
want male mice lactating. That, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, what the hell? So they decided to do the latest study was like 2018, and they decided to have it where this mouse can convert cholesterol directly into testosterone very quickly, which happens. Cholesterol it turns into hormones, whatever, it needs, the body needs at the time, without having testes, without having standard phenotypes. And so I was like, oh my God, they went through all that trouble. And then the mice were still like not the best. And they were very small. That was the other issue.
Well, yeah. If they're not completely male, then they're gonna have a problem growing because the testes do help
Right.
produce more testosterone. That's why they call them testes.
And they could not, that's what I was saying. You could basically produce a eunuch mouse because they could not mate properly with the females. The females are bigger than them. So they just like look at them like, what's wrong with you? And,
great.
really short.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. They're children. So they look at them
they're
like
very small. And their squeak was a different tone. And they females. And so female mice and rats, they don't play. Like, if you don't have all your, I hear like when y'all talk about like,
so there's no transgender rights for mice.
No.
That's what I was about to say. Wait, are you saying they're making these mice literally transgender?
Yeah, they did. When you talk about y'all talking about like black women like things a certain way, it's true. Like female mice, no matter what strain, black 6, nude, beige skid, whatever, Nod skid, NSG, whatever strain you have, they don't like males you gotta be of a certain caliber. So like you got your squeak is off, your voice off, you come up, you talk like
the female mice act like black woman.
She gonna be like, oh my God, But if you come up, hey, how's it going? How are you? If your voice is off, girl, boy, no, she's not gonna have that. They will kill you. Like they're like, because they couldn't figure out why the females keep killing these males. Why?
Okay.
Why they keep killing? They will just kill you. They just reach out. He's small. What he gonna do? Like, what he gonna run? So they just killed them. They're biting their tails off, doing all kinds of crazy stuff to them, scratching their hands out because they were not real men. They knew something wrong with you. You gotta go. Because I'm not trying to get I'm not trying to get snuck on and get pregnant. You try to impregnate me in my sleep and then I come out with some crazy little babies. Nope. In nature, that's how it is. And so they had to do artificial insemination. That's the only way they could do it because they were not able to, and they could still get semen from the prostate. Okay. But they were able to do that. And the babies were the same as the parents, small males, large females, or standard size females. But at any rate, it's a way to just, it's just a way to manipulate the genetics to prevent these pathologies or these diseases from showing up in humans. That's really all it's about.
Okay. Okay. In other words, the trial and error with mice. Yeah.
Big
So the female mice kill the smaller male mice.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Because they're like, why are you here?
Take them out of the gene pool.
Yeah, they're like, why are you here? What is your function? Like, or what is your malfunction? I guess because something's wrong with you. They knew something's wrong with them.
Oh, do they do that to their babies if the babies it's something wrong with the babies?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So it's a mechanism to take what is it? Non-viable mates out of the not mates, but members out of the collective.
Mates too. Because a lot of times
literwe're
not careful, if we're not careful, we don't take the mice out in time. Right when they begin to show defined genitalia, the sons will mate with the moms.
Okay. So
if she kills them before we get a chance to really see who's viable or not, she made the decision for us. Like sometimes it happens the first night that she has them.
Oh, so in other words, if you produce a certain mouse with a certain defect, and you don't take them out immediately, the mama will kill them before you get a
Yes,
chance. Okay, you lose
yes.
those mice. Okay.
The first, well, I take that back because that's like after she's had her first litter. Everybody knows the first litter for every female.
Hmm.
If you don't get in there, like if you don't time it exactly, like she's gonna kill all of them.
Really? Okay. Wow.
All of them. Like I don't know, it's like a stress thing, postpartum. I don't know.
I never heard of postpartum depression from mice.
It must be something like that. Because when they have the first litter that they had, they usually kill them all.
Really? Wow.
You know, male and female. They just I guess they just see them all as defective. So I don't know. You know, I want to go to the club. Like, forget all this. I'm like, dang, lady, like, how you gonna do all this? So and they don't even have to do much. They just like they either they're like little jelly beans. They just like chew them up or they stomp on them, and then that's it. And they just be sitting there in the corner. I'm like, what the hell? So they do that, but if you get to them fast enough, they're not gonna do it. Usually, we just if they're in a hen house, where it's like 2 or 3 females, they're less likely to do that because they will get injured by the other females if they try to injure their own babies. Like that, they will help. The other older female like matrons, they will help. They will prevent her from doing that.
Okay.
If she by herself, something happens and they switch.
Okay.
Killing everything. By the time they have their second litter, or they have like maybe 10, 12 pups, they should have seen another female take care of her pups. So they're like, okay, I feel more comfortable with this. I'm not going to kill him. Oh, but this one's defective. Got to go. It might be like maybe 2 or 3 out of 12 that have to go. They're not growing properly. Something's wrong with them. And she knows something's wrong. And she just takes them out. And so the genetics of it, and that's one thing you have to make sure, like when we're doing the genetic modifications in silico, which is on a computer, and we're trying to prevent that, we have to like run the tests on the computer to see, okay, is this going to prevent her from killing the kids? Like, is this going to prevent any kind of issue? What gene does this code for? All that kind of stuff. We have to know that before, because and it also depends on the strain. Like black 6 mice, I don't know, they don't like their kids very much. The gray ones, the gray rats, and the some of the tan hamsters and the black 6 female mice, they don't like their kids. Like, I don't know. After a certain age, like maybe like 14 days, they just be like, get out. Like, they don't want to go around. They be like, get away from me. And they be running around like, mommy.
So in other words, the 18th birthday is 14 days. I'm just saying.
Right.
Go finish yourself.
They be doing all crazy stuff. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, and then you try to do something like separate them. They want to bite you.
Oh, wow.
Like, okay, I'm gonna save your kids because you clearly don't want to take care of your kids anymore. And they're like, no, you can't have them either. Like,
oh, wow.
What is wrong with you, crazy lady? And they will bite. They will bite hard and hold on. So that is something I cannot figure out. And that's I think that's strain specific. Black 6 mice are like that. They, if the male is here, he'll fight with you. He'll fight you with her.
So why they got to be black?
When I first saw that, I was like, damn it.
Maybe there's a correlation. I hate to say that, but
yes, I was like, you're black. And I'm sitting here in front of a white person and an Asian person, and they're like, oh my goodness, they're so aggressive. And I was like, like right after that AV and BGS, right after that, I was thinking, Jerry. Like,
oh Lord.
Don't let Minister Jap hear this.
Oh Lord.
They were fighting so hard. I was like, and you could tell like they're mad, like angry. And I was like, what are they fighting over? They were like ignoring them. They just like, let them kill each other, whatever. They walked off. I was like, wait, what are they fighting over? Y'all, they was fighting over a little piece of like cotton. Little cotton, you put little cotton balls in there and they stretch the cotton balls out and they lay down on them as a little bedding. That's what they were fighting over, a little piece of a cotton ball.
So they
fighting over a pillow?
The ghetto,
yeah, huh? Exactly, a pillow, Albert.
they ghetto.
I took it up, and I just held it above, like a couple inches above their head. They both sit there, please give it back, give it back, give it back. Their little hands like going up, like give it back, give it back. I'm dangling over, their little hands, and they're like little hands going back and forth. Please give it back.
Oh boy!
You know what? I'll be Solomon today on y'all motherfuckers. I ripped it apart in half and threw 2 pieces in there. And they looked at it. Okay, they went and got the little piece, and then oh Lord, they got the little piece, but I guess they wouldn't in completely in half or something. But they got the piece, and one of them was like, "This ain't good enough." And he ran over. It was hell. He ran over there. I want both pieces. No, and so before he could get there, she was happy. She was laying on her little pillow, having her little fun or whatever. Mm-hmm. I said, "Nope, you're not gonna do this today." I said, "No, dog, I'm not gonna let you keep going at her." Like he looked, he was like, "I want both pieces of it. I deserve it."
So you don't have to go watch Love and Hip Hop or any of the house. You get it right there.
They fight exactly. J3 said fighting over comfort. Exactly. They were fighting, and I'm like,
unfortunately, this is
not at the particular mental capacity to understand what's going on. They just look at you, see their little heads just going back and forth, left to right. Like, what's going on here?
Well, you see, they can go to the hood and see the same thing. Say, wait a minute, we might.
Yeah.
It's ironic you say that.
Out Utopia, it makes so much sense because
it does. It does.
You see that with the white mice, they fight but usually because of a something we have done to them, or there's some type of infection. The black mice they're less likely to get infections. I noticed that.
Well, that makes sense.
They are less likely to get infections, and they are a little bit bigger than some of the white mice we have. The new mice, they don't have any hair or fur. They get sick real quick. You know, they're like
that sounds a lot like the black and white community.
Yeah, they will fight, but they you give them some kind of it was something we gave them. I was giving them injections in the stomach, and they were the intraperitoneal injections, and it's like the injection was in, I think, vegetable oil. Oh my God, they were just like going around, just pooping everywhere. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Then they started going off and they started to bite each other's tails off, bite each other's ears off, you know, hanging upside down like a little monkey on the thing. I was like, y'all were so nice. Like, what happened? What happened to you guys? I thought this was the suburbs. What's going on, man? Anyway, you're acting crazy, acting a fool. Then there was another case. We had another set of mice. They were being given high fat diet. I swear they was on crack. I was like, these mice on crack. Like, they got to be on crack. The high fat diet made them crackheads. I can say that with confidence. I was like, for months, I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, they literally just like bouncing. Their eyes were going back and forth. I held one of them up and just held him in the right, proper position, back of the neck. I'm holding him up to look at his eyes, and his eyes are just going back and forth, just ping ponging left to right, left to right. I was like, what the heck?
Did you ever find out how the breakdown of the food?
The high fat diet, their diet was 60% fat.
Okay.
And, they were not able to process the fat. Fat was turning into energy, and it making them crazy. So probably probably broke down into some kind of sugar, and that made them hyper. Okay. Yes. And it was destroying their liver. It was destroying their kidneys. So they were actually turning like ketoacidosis type stuff went on. They're like, when we finally sacrificed them, the livers were just like, they were just torn up.
So in other words, it's almost like they were on meth.
Yes, because they had the inside of the mouth was, because that was one thing I'm interested in, certain organs that pertain to the project, but there are other organs that we don't record on, but we just have our own knowledge. The brain, certain parts of the brain, frontal lobe was damaged, parts of the cerebellum was damaged.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
The inside of the mouth was damaged. I was like, what the heck?
That's exactly what meth does to human beings. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Very similar. It ruins the mouth. It ruins parts of the brain. Kills the liver and stuff like that. So
but it's the fact that it was high fat, and the child that had the high fat actually smelled. I know it sounds strange. it smelled like chocolate. And I was like, every time we would go in there, it smells like chocolate in there. I'm like, what the heck? And so they're eating this food that's the standard American diet, 60% fat.
Yeah, but like what did they say? That a rabbit can a bunny rabbit can take 10 times, even though it's smaller, can take 10 times the amount of arsenic that a human being can take. It's just
Right.
how you metabolize stuff. And
Yeah.
and you gotta, the body's just one big ass chemical experiment, chemical processor.
Yes.
And
They
all the
weren't processed it properly. And I was like, dang. So
Yeah.
I mean, but overall, there's a lot of different research projects out there. I'm just glad that you sent me that one because I was like, oh wow, this.
I did. When you sent me the link back, I said, okay, she already knows.
Yeah.
I said, wow. And then I saw the video. I saw the video, and I when I first looked at it, and I got scared for a minute. I said, this is happening. Okay. Like I said, we went from CRISPR to messenger RNA in less than 10 years, and so if they already developed a process and it's already mechanical, it's good. We can see human beings rolling off the line in 10 years, in my estimation. I said we're probably looking at like 30 to 40, but if they already got the process down and it's basically as simple as they made it look. And I'm not saying, because I didn't see the results of the finished product and how viable it was, but I always say think about technology, and you know this, Nicole. It never gets worse. Okay, it only gets better. It never gets worse. And if they're doing this with mice already, then basically, like Nicole said, it's unethical to do it with a human being. For us to do it with a human being, we don't know what the Asians are doing because they have a different set of ethics.
Right, different set of ideas, and they got a different set of money.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Different type of money.
Yeah.
So they're like, look, we can do what we want to do. And then, I think about a lot of the concepts that people bring back when they go home, when they're like, people, they go home, different countries, they come back, they're like, oh yeah, I went to visit so-and-so. Even during COVID, nobody's going to go home to like China, Japan, and not go by their friend, their colleagues' house or their colleagues' lab and see how they're doing with their research. Or at least not even talk to them. They're just not going to do that.
Yeah.
They talk about different projects they're doing.
Yeah, there's so many. if you can, it's one thing to do it in CRISPR. It's another thing to do it with embryos. You can make the embryos a literal laboratory of stem cells and all kinds of stuff. If you get a embryo that's specific to whatever kind of gene that you want, it's better to grow it inside of a human being than it is in a lab. And I can see
that's what they did. That's what they just did in the project when they were showing all those different stem markers. Stem markers, they grew inside. I mean, day to day, you see the change of where not only they did one figure where they said this is showing temporal and spatial expression of certain genes, like these stem marker genes. So temporal is time, and spatial is where location. So over time, from day to day, certain genes change location. So the next step they're gonna do is try to figure out why is it changing location? What is making it? Can we control where these genes are expressed? How long they're expressed? That's another thing, because that all relates with disease. Because like I said, unfortunately, these are embryogenesis genes or organogenesis, development of the embryo, development of the organs. Problem, these genes come back when you have cancer or leukemia or Alzheimer's or Parkinson's disease. Those same genes that's not supposed to be up.
Okay.
They go up really high when you're an embryo. When you're born, they drop.
Okay.
Up until you're in your 60s or 70s, they go back up again.
Okay. Interesting.
So they're trying to
suppress.
Suppress, exactly.
Yeah.
Suppress that. At this point, they're trying to, because we already know there's population of people that's not doing too well in the population. The numbers getting
yeah.
So they need to kind of like reverse what they've done for the past 80 years or so as far as food and the environment. They need to kind of reverse that, because that would be the best form of suppression which would enhance their numbers.
Yeah.
You got to be able to suppress some of these genes because we have men in their 30s that have these cancers they're not supposed to have.
Wow, really? Okay.
You're not supposed to be 32 years old and
With prostate cancer.
he passed. The guy, I mentioned him last year. He's gone. He passed. He had stage 3 adenocarcinoma of the prostate for about almost a year.
Yeah.
Almost a week. Yeah. But he fought a long time. We were going to try to get a single patient trial for him, but he passed before we could do the trial. So we just using the tissues and stuff that we can to do further research because that's the outlier,
Yeah.
outlier.
So with this kind of research and just say black pill, they started not making whole human beings but just embryos. Okay, what would that do for your work?
The embryo. Oh, that'd be
because say they made it morally viable, and so where they could do it and you would feel okay with doing it. What would that do for your work as far as something like that if it's human beings?
The embryos.
Yeah. What is there?
The application for me wouldn't really be useful except to see what genes are up and down.
Okay.
Because I could use that library to cross-reference to my samples, my patient samples, and my cell line samples. Well, I don't have as many cell lines as I used to, but a lot of the cells I have are primary. They're directly from a patient.
Okay.
Well, they're not cell lines, so to speak, but they are just primary cells that were growing.
Okay.
So what I would try to do is see, I just thought about it. It could relate to my work directly because when I get like the guy who passed, the young guy, if I'm getting his prostate fibroblast or his prostate epithelial cells directly from his tumor, the problem we have with primary cells directly from a patient from a warm autopsy is we only can go like 20, maybe we can push it to 25 generations of passaging these cells over and over.
Okay.
The problem is the stem cell markers, they go down when they're on plastic.
Okay.
So I don't know what is, they don't like, of course, they don't want to be in a flat surface. No cell in your body is on a flat surface, right? There's a volume structure there. And it usually is in a circular form. They're all folded against each other. They can touch each other. If you're on plastic, you just touching plastic and air.
Okay.
So plastic and fluid. The medium. They don't like that a lot, and especially from patients that are aggressive prostate cancer. You put on plastic, they get lazy and they don't want to do nothing. They're not really cancer cells anymore. After about 20 generations, they die. They just die out. So what I would do is look for the genes from that type of mouse experiment and transfect these primary cells from a patient with those genes to make them maintain their cancer or their tumor-like state. That's what I would do.
Wow.
Whatever makes those embryos grow as well as they do from those images, those are the genes I would put into a vector, a viral vector, pack them into some CRISPR cassette, like 4 or 5 of them at a time, and just transfect those cells at one time with all these genes. If the cells die, okay, they die, whatever. I'll have like different pools, like one cassette has 5 genes, another cassette has 4, 3, 2, 1. That's what I would do. And compare that to an empty cassette that doesn't have any genes in it. And then transfect all my cells like that at one time. See which ones live the best, which ones can survive the longest. That's what I would do. Then I can I could patent that. I could get that. I could get that patent.
Get some more money, huh?
So you get more money, huh?
Get a little technique going. I'm like, oh, okay. Especially if you could train people how to do that technique with all the guide RNAs and I'll patent it and I'll just sell it to like some company that makes the smart pools like Santa Cruz, just here in California. So could just call them, or I could sell it to like Lonza or some company that makes those transfection smart pools, where you have like 4 to 10 different segments of a gene that you can knock out or knock down. That's a cheap way. CRISPR is expensive, but if you want to go the cheap way, you can use a smart pool. People still do that. But that's what I would do. That's how that would fit into my work directly, because it's sad patients dead and then their cells die. 3 months after they've died, the cells are gone forever. That's not cool. I want to keep them alive longer.
If you can get a human embryo that's not attached to a human being, not from a human being, well, I don't know whether it's ethical or not, but the thing is, say if you get an embryo like that, and I'm sure they're going to start experimenting on it. Say if it was you, what would you do with it if it was you? I'm not saying that you would.
Yeah, an embryo from a human being?
I mean, no, say if you say artificially, an embryo that's from a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Or grown artificially from a sperm and an egg and put into this medium.
Oh, what would I do with it?
Yeah. That you can say on air. Okay.
What would I do?
Just say the Nikole in the future. What
might number one, the way a lot of things people do, as I keep saying, library. Because a library has a lot of uses. You can use that forever. You can always go back to that as a resource, because nobody can tell you that your like when you do RNA sequencing and stuff, or any of these biostatistics software programs, they always tell you create a library for your own cells, so nobody can come from the outside and tell you that you're wrong, because you got a library. You have a whole Encyclopedia Britannica World Book room full of genetic information for your cells or for that embryo. The same way they did it on this paper, they didn't look at one type of cell. They looked at several types of cells. That's what I would do. I would just extract a couple of cells from that embryo, do a DNA library, and then do a protein library to see where the proteins are functionally. And then I'd have to know the source of the embryo as well. But yeah, what I would do after that, that's a good question. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of things you could do, because you could actually grow cells from, if you know what certain tissues are what, you could grow cells from those tissues and keep the embryo alive.
Okay.
Plus, as the embryo is developing, you can slough off tissues, because of course you're going to lose tissues as it's growing. You can remove fluid from the amniotic sac and do testing on that. You can break down the components of the amniotic fluid and develop that artificially, because at some point this embryo ain't gonna make it all the way, may not make it all the way through. So how are you going to regenerate or replenish the next embryo or control the next embryo you have? So you can develop your own synthetic amniotic fluid. Whatever it is that you want to do. I don't know about changing certain tissue dynamics. I mean, you could change tissue dynamics with just changing the pH and the salt balance of the media.
Yeah. This is what I'm seeing now kind of reminds me of the tech world back in the early 1990s, before things really took off. All the breakthroughs that are coming through, and the different techniques and stuff like that. So this is kind of blowing my mind, and but you're verifying it. You're verifying that this is viable, and in some ways it's exciting, because what it's going to do for medical science, for people like you. They're gonna clever people like you to actually figure out ways to use this kind of research and to help people. And then like I say, you're the white hats, but unfortunately, there's black hats on the other side. I'm kind of worried about what they're going to do with it.
Yeah, mostly they're sad to say, and people might get mad, whatever. A lot of them are engineers, but how dare she say that? It's true, man. A lot of them are engineers. Jason gets mad. He's like, well, that ain't always true. I'm like, no, it is.
Oh boy.
Like, he gets mad, AB, because he'd be like, because I told him, I said, AB, he does like a lot of computer stuff, like coding and everything. And he was like, see, I bet you he's ethical. I was like, yeah, he's probably ethical. But the engineers in my field ain't. They will, we had a project, it's probably out now. We had a project where
Not every program is ethical. I can tell you that.
Yeah, as if with Snowden.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I had to take that back. But it was some program we were trying to develop, and we wanted to. It was a diagnostic. It was not it wasn't a laboratory type of technique. It was a diagnostic technique. We wanted to have, we had like really simplistic. We were using gold nanoparticles. We were trying to see how you can use the. It was gold nanoparticles and some type of metal. And we were trying to see with the electrostatic, because of course, gold being inert, if you're looking for a amino acid or you're looking for some kind of fluidics, you can use gold.
Yeah.
And it became very expensive, like in the tens of thousands. And I was like, this doesn't seem too ethical. I was like, man, we can use this gold for something else. So I used it for something else. And that worked. And they still struggling with this little project. Then we took up to the engineers, went all the way to another country. And we in another country. I'm like, man, I want to go home. And they were like engineers sitting around, they tinkering with it for like a day. And they were like, oh man, we can do this on glass, man. We can do. I'm like, are you high? Like, like no. They was like, man, they were high because I could smell the weed. But they were in there and they were. Man,
that's when they do their best work, though. That's when they do their best work.
I believe you.
You show me it working because I don't believe you.
Well,
you back tomorrow, and it worked.
Talk to a programmer. Talk to a programmer engineer after they've gotten high and see what the kind of ideas that come out of their head.
I was looking at it, and the thing that got me to say, they had good ideas. The thing that got me was they were like, "Yo, so how much credit we gonna get?" I'm like, I know you smoking now. How much credit we gonna get? I said, credit. Credit. I ain't no mate.
Since Jason's an engineer, ask him if he could develop a human being from this, the perfect human being. What would he do? What kind of human being would he develop, and what kind of characteristics would a human being have?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. Now these times right here, looking at yeah, it's funny that if you ask that, because if I ask that to him now, he's seen that movie Gemini Man.
Oh yeah, that was a good movie.
Yeah, he was like, oh man. He said, man, why they had to get rid of the young one? I said, what? He was like, man, the young one, man, he just coming up in the world. I was like, he was gonna kill everybody. What you talking about? He just he looked like he was just a straight robot, just android, straight up. And then they burned him up, and he just sitting there. Sorry to spoil it for anybody, but he just sitting there, and then he just like, I guess he just shut down. He said, "Oh man, they killed him." I was like, "You act like he the hero." Like what? But yeah, he said that
only a copy. He was like there was like 3 or 4 of them because I saw the movie.
Yeah,
that was only a copy. The one of
them. And he was all mad, like, "Oh man, why they get rid of him?" I said, "What?" When he said he was just coming up in the world, I about died. I said, "You know what? I'm done with you." That is like the worst. I could imagine if I asked him that BGS, he's gonna be like, I think I would have somebody who's like that dude. He said, he flipping and doing this and that. I said, that ain't real though. That's not like.
It could be.
It probably is already. I said, but that's not real. Like as far as being a human being, I said that's a machine. He's a tool.
That's true. And
his utility is his value. For a certain period of time, he's gonna shut down at some point. But I said like it depends on what you value. Do you value the person, or do you value what they can do, for that time period? If they can't, if you're afraid, like, oh, well, this person's going to be, if you have this piece of equipment that you developed, doesn't have a concept of fear or any concept of anything, no hunger or thirst, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Then, because she asked him, she said, don't you feel anything? And he was just sitting there like, no, like, woman, no, I don't feel nothing. He just sat there like, anyway, I don't feel nothing. That's ideally what you want for a soldier, but it's not palatable. I always go back to that because I know BGS mentioned that a few times. It's not palatable to society
Well, it's
yet.
not.
No, not yet. Not yet.
I've
Not
talked to
yet.
soldiers that I've talked to some Vietnam soldiers that openly talked to me about how they went in the villages and killed the women and children.
Wow. Mm-mm-mm.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
Vietnam soldiers, and
mhm.
one thing he told me, look, half the time you didn't know if they had a bomb strapped to them.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had white and black soldiers talk to me about the baby bombs they would send to them.
Oh yeah.
They would
Yeah.
send children with just loaded with bombs and
Yeah.
blow them up.
Yeah. They would actually. Yeah. That would happen in Vietnam because they would strap grenades to a young boy and have them run into a middle of soldiers. Right. Well, they do it in the Middle East, but they do it with adults. At least they don't do it with kids. At least not as much. But in Vietnam, that was common. Terrorist tactic. Just send a little child that they don't know wouldn't get shot and send them into a middle of like 20 soldiers. So what they start doing in Vietnam is actually if they see a kid running toward them and they didn't know the kid, they would, if the kid didn't stop, they would shoot him because they didn't know if they were strapped with grenades or something like that. And that was very common practice. That the same practice is actually used basically in Israel with the Palestinians with the bombers. So the Arab bombers got that from the Vietnamese.
Oh
So
wow!
it's a very common idea. But the thing is that at some point, we would like to think, we think it now, especially in the West, that every life is valuable. But you go back 150 years in our history, that wasn't the case.
Nope.
Even children were products before
Right.
the modern age,
They would
before
put
the
them in the
machines.
factories.
Yeah, they had 7-year-olds working in factories from 16 hours. So, and if not, they put them on the street to starve. So you got to remember, human beings are not that far advanced from where they were. So,
Yeah.
but
In general, it's just a specific
yeah,
number of people that are advancing within their own disciplines, but
yeah,
everything else is left to their own devices, and that's
yeah.
something that I like. That's what I was kind of hitting on earlier, way earlier in my stream. Like, okay, you don't want to just be left to your devices. You have to be proactive. I mean, I don't know why non-Black parents and stuff be contacting me, but I'm like, how are you even listening to me? But like, how can you listen to me for like 5 minutes before you like, I'm done with her, and then turn it off or something.
Yeah.
But they are taking the initiative. Back then, you didn't like what you're talking about with young children working in factories. There was no initiative to take. What you gonna do?
No.
You
And
just
in fact, they had the mothers sending them to the factories because they needed the
they need
money and
to
labor to
take care of
come
themselves.
in to take themselves. So that's very common. What was very common back then, and until I think till socialism, the socialist movement actually reduced the work week and work hours for kids, and then eventually they banned kids from actually coming into the factories at all
Right.
outside of farms. So, but that took like 100 years before that even happened.
Yeah. Your progress moves
Yeah.
slowly, and that's one thing I was like from the stream from art stream. I was like, well, we have to remember that progress is very slow. Just recognizing who, like I said earlier, who lit the match.
Yeah.
Recognizing who that is and knowing what group they're
Yeah.
from and how they operate, that takes a long time to see.
It does, but the thing is, got to remember, progress is also exponential
Okay,
because
yeah.
because it takes a critical mass of people like you working one thing at a time. But the thing is, what is built on like 400 years of experimentation. It's not Nicole in an isolation coming up with it by herself. You're actually built on a certain level of knowledge,
Right.
and that makes your experiments and what things you come up with faster. And if we have like a million or like a few million Nicoles working on the same thing at the same time, that makes it even faster. So you guys are actually building off each other. So it's going to be way more exponential.
Yeah.
And then when you plug in computers and artificial intelligence to go along with it, yeah, it's gonna get basically human 2.0. I say they're gonna show up in the 2030s. Mark my word.
Yeah, I have to talk to Mike B and Brain Trust about that more and just read more. Because I'm seeing it like if you go to Engadget, they're talking about a lot of that, but they don't. A lot of times they won't say on certain websites they won't say AI anymore. They'll do it a certain way.
Machine learning.
Yeah,
Well, they
machine.
don't even use that. Sometimes they don't even say that.
In other words, in fact, there was just reading an article today where they have AIs doing philosophy right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to get
Oh,
scary. You know,
that's interesting.
What
the
you
last,
like, don't like from your eye movement and
yeah,
from your a lot of the apps,
yeah,
a lot of the app like social media apps trying
yeah,
to get more access to
yeah,
your eyes or
yeah.
to you to your interface and stuff, and so
Look,
that
look,
too.
look for an audio book, or if you're going to read, it's probably easier to do with the audio book. It's a fiction book called Damon, uh, Daemon, right? Written by Daniel Suarez in 2007, and he was the one that back then, all this stuff was in its infancy, right? He collected all this stuff and put it into a fiction book, and it's really, really interesting how AI. He actually wrote about an AI that became independent and started running the world. And running the
Wow.
third world. So it's a very interesting book. So, but a lot of what he said in his book is actually coming to fruition, except for the artificial. Except for the artificial womb, that was one thing he left out. But the thing is, I always said that's the last step. The human body is the last step.
Yeah,
And
you see how they have it. It's the technique is still the same as it was like last year. We're talking about it, but
yeah,
or the year before. But it's like
yeah, yeah.
the container that the embryos are in
Hmm.
is very different. So I
Yeah,
wanted people to
yeah,
notice that
yeah,
they're
yeah.
in little bottles. You're gonna be in a little bottle, not a bag. Plastic bag costs too much money. We're gonna put you in a little bottle. It's
Hmm.
like a 5 ml vial.
Wow.
That's what you're gonna be in. Because I mean, well, not you, but I'm saying like that's what your embryos are gonna be in. Because at some
Oh,
point, people want to design their children, all this stuff. So
so so basically, with the plastic cylinder that they see that we've seen in science fiction, that's what it's going to look like, right? Instead of the little
it's
cozy
like,
little bassinet looking thing, it's going to be a little.
right.
Do you think they're going to do things like growth accelerators where they can actually uh, make a adult human being within a couple years or something like that, or that's still to come?
Growth hormone. I mean, you talking about the growth hormone?
In other words, we
Prove
in
itself.
science fiction. In science fiction, when say um,
What
like
super? What Lex
like,
Luthor doing with
like
Superman? Try growing faster.
going faster, yeah.
That's what the media was for in the video.
Oh,
That's what
really?
yeah,
Oh,
they have nutrients in
wow,
the media.
wow.
DMEM is Debeco's modified essential media.
So in other
It's
words,
not minimal essential media, MEM. It's DMEM. Debeco's, I think
uh-huh.
they developed that back in the day, probably, I don't know, it was like maybe 50, not 50s, maybe 60s or 70s. It was before AIDS, I think.
Hmm.
But before HIV AIDS, but they had different types of media,
Hmm.
and this is the best one because it's a modified essential medium, so it gives you all the essential nutrients that you cannot make yourself.
Hmm. Oh,
If you want
okay.
to add vitamins, you can add vitamins, B6, B12, whatever. But
Mm.
it's just like to stabilize you, just to keep you keep the minimum organism alive.
Mm.
You know.
So in other words, they can take your egg, they can take Jason's
Mhm.
sperm,
Yep.
farm it out, and basically in 6 months you got a baby coming back from the
Yeah.
factory.
Yeah, you just have to have a container that's big enough. So what they'll do is, I mean, we have containers big enough already, but I mean, they're sterile and everything. But
Hmm.
like the vials they use are probably, they're probably plastic. But the best container to use is the glass, of course.
So if you had a choice, I know you'd rather do it naturally, but say if you had a choice, you're going to order a baby, would you take a baby 1.0 or a baby 2.0 with a bigger brain capacity and all that other doodads put in it? what would you pick? Take a regular
Yeah,
kid or what?
one of my videos, I would pick, yeah, I probably would pick 2.0. When I was talking about movies on one of my videos, I was like, yeah, I probably do it because
Hmm.
you have to look further than yourself. You have to.
Yeah.
For me, I look further than like I'm in my 80s or something. I'm looking like when I'm dead and gone. Like, what do I want?
And,
Do I
and-
want my child to be able to compete or not?
yeah, and you know what? I was gonna say that, and I always say that as far as a female nature wants her to give her baby the best chance in any environment, and if 2.0 is going to give her child an advantage, she's going to pick 2.0 or
Yeah,
whatever essentials. Would you give your baby the whole hookup with the with the uh, with the brain implants, the wireless, and all that kind of stuff, or would you super soldier serum? What would you do?
yeah. I
You
would
get
probably.
you
I
give them.
would do a lot of that because
If it's
think
male,
about
it's not even close
where
to super soldier serum.
Okay, okay, female
where the
maybe not need a
child
super
will
soldier.
be, where the world will be in the next
Uh-huh.
30, 40 years, 30, 60 years, and where the child will be, competition wise, because
Mhm.
if I decide to do that, I'm not the only one to decide to do that. There's millions of other people who would do it too, who could afford to do it, who would know to look ahead. I don't want my child, getting knocked out by some 2.0, like
You know, you know,
so,
you know, you know,
what I'm
you know.
saying? Like, I want them to be able to survive. I also want them to be able to have like be prepared biologically before they get to a certain
Mhm.
point. They're gonna be fine in general, but having that extra security and knowing that, and I already know next stream is gonna be on ethics. I already know it. Name is gonna be like, we need to talk about ethics, fam.
What I'm saying is, I had because because certain people I talk, especially in conscious community, right, and certain people that are into philosophy had pushback against it, and I said that most human beings, most parents, knowing the competition that kids are going to have to face, are going to choose humans 2.0. Even above themselves. So I think eventually, I don't know if the humans 1.0 is going to die out, but I think it's going to be a healthy competition in the future. It's going to be the
Yeah,
rich people first, of course, and then as it becomes more, just like anything else, as it becomes more industrialized, the price is going to drop down to it's filtered down to where governments are probably going to finance it. Where okay, well, to compete for our population to compete with the next country, we're going to have to buy into this. So it's going to be different.
yeah, but by that time you have a less. By that time you have a less valuable
Hmm.
and viable product.
Hmm.
Because when everybody can afford it, then there's some changes with quality control kind of go out the window. Certain things you can get like at the Erewhon grocery store or pavilions, but you try to get that same product at like what it was, Save a Lot or what was it?
99-cent store.
Yeah, it's a different
Or Dollar General.
product, different brand.
Your favorite
Every
place.
dollar on the floor, it's not even on the shelf, it's on the floor, the box cracked open, all that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. Like,
Yeah,
it's not
pretty much.
the brand is like, what is this? Like, it's not even a store brand, what is this? So that type of thing is it, when everybody can afford it, then it's like, oh, wait a minute, the quality may not be sufficient for the goal that you're trying to reach, because people who would go for that, they have not seen things come to fruition. They haven't seen that process come to fruition from the beginning, or
Mhm.
understood it, or even thought to look it up.
Right.
So they're just like, oh, dang. If you have your child in the field and they're
Mhm.
telling you,
Mhm.
hey, Mom, this is what's happening, this is what's going on, this is coming, you
Mhm.
kind of are at the cutting edge. At least you're at the cusp of like knowing, okay, my child knows what's going on.
Mhm.
They're in the field, they're talking to people who actually do this research, then it
Mhm.
puts you a little bit ahead. But if you just like, working a regular job, doing your little thing, and then if this comes out that's something you have to do, not you
Mhm.
can do, you have to do this. This is for national security purposes.
Okay.
You're stuck,
Yeah.
because you
With
get
this,
you have policy.
the state can always produce as many human beings as it wants, because
True.
it'll pay for them. So it can just because sperm and egg are relatively cheap. Okay, and they can actually make people like you can actually make them artificially anyway. So
Right. Right. Right.
uh, so they can produce as many people as they want. The thing is that would they give the average Joe Schmo the option?
Right.
And the
Mm.
second question is, would you and Jason design your own baby?
I don't know. I don't know. See, I don't know if I would as far as like phenotype, I don't know, but I think that I wouldn't even worry about the phenotype. I would worry more about the genotype because that's
Mm,
carried, that has more
mm,
utility, more function to me
mm,
than the phenotype because I'm thinking 20 years ahead, like if you
mm.
looks are not as they're becoming not as important
Right, because they can
as
change because they're arbitrary. You can change,
to change that,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the genotype, the baseline, the germ line of who you are
Hmm.
has nothing to do with looks. That's what's important. That
Mm.
passes on and on.
I can see Nicole man with her lab coat on and says, What are you working on, Nicole? We're getting ready to. I'm getting ready to have another baby. So so what are you at the computer for? Well, I'm gonna put a little of this, put a little of that in the baby.
Well, doing some editing and
Yeah, 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 yeah,
tweaking
yeah.
here and there.
Yeah,
See, the problem with that would
mm,
be that women would I think with women were able to if we were able to because I'm just thinking about my sister if she had to do this, oh Lord. She'd be like,
that's not.
Oh
come
boy.
out, come out with like three different shades, two different noses, like because
Hmm.
she done edited and she done like changed her mind halfway through. Like, I want baby to have a small nose. I don't want baby to have big nose. Now you're gonna have like half a nose. Like it's gonna be a
I
mess.
said,
One
I said
big eye,
Oh
Malcolm,
Lord.
Malcolm
one
Smith said
brown
yes.
eye.
Malcolm Smith said yes, you will. You will design your own baby.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think about a lot of the women that would put
Mm,
it should be a one shot thing. That is no going back. This is what it is. You can't make any changes and all this editing and stuff.
uh,
This is what it is. This is your program. This is what you
uh,
have, and we'll see you in 6 months. Come back later
mm,
because
mm,
it's gonna be. I'm assuming it will be accelerated. Whatever process they use for
mm,
artificial gestation, it will be accelerated.
mm-hmm.
So 9 months is not gonna be. It's not gonna cut it. They can cut it down like 6 months probably.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Hmm.
but like anything else experimental, you don't want to be the first ones to try it. So,
No, no, no. I'll let the rich folks go ahead with that because at least they have money to fall back on. They
yeah.
can go take some trips
Yeah,
and
that's how
stuff.
I feel about these vaccines. Although I am a little interested in the Johnson and Johnson version.
Hmm. Yeah,
So far,
Johnson
so
Johnson
so,
is something
so far, I haven't heard anything detrimental about Johnson and
I
Johnson.
haven't.
either. I've been looking too.
Yeah,
I've been looking. I'm like, man, let me try to find something on them. I'm gonna find some good stuff. Trying to like be like a PI, trying to find some dirt on them. But I was like, I can't find nothing. I'm looking. I'm asking around. Asking physicians and stuff that are
mm,
not even my physicians. These are just people. I'm just calling them randomly. Hey, what you think about this and everything? They're like, oh yeah, this is good. They said Johnson and Johnson and Moderna or Moderna, but they went
mm,
with Johnson and Johnson
mm,
first.
mm,
So my mom was taking Moderna, and I told her to ask her doctor about like Johnson and Johnson. She said that her doctor told her like, "Oh, you should have done Johnson and Johnson," but
mm.
they said, "Oh, you're in the middle, so you got Moderna. That's okay." So
So,
you're doing all right. You're doing all right.
and that's another question that came up, and I don't, we don't want to drift too far away from the topic,
Yeah.
Hmm.
there's another question that came up. Say, what if you did the messenger RNA, the Pfizer or the Moderna or even the AstraZeneca, which nobody recommends right now.
Mm-mm.
And then a year later, you need a booster. A year or two later, you need a booster, and you go to Johnson and Johnson. Uh, I'm,
Oh,
because I still don't, with messenger RNA, I'm really not too keen on that because I don't know how long that's going to stay in your body. I'm still,
are you
yeah,
saying like mixing them, like
yeah.
doing?
Say if you took one and then 2 years later, would you have to keep the same the same type, or could you mix them and do something else? or we'll find that out at some
Yeah,
point.
I don't know. That's a good question. I haven't seen any.
Unfortunately, we'll probably have to find that out.
It's too early. Yeah, it's way too early.
Yeah, it's early. Too early to tell. That's a good question because people have not talked about that. They said, okay, so in Science Alert, they have this article. This came out today, and so it's like long COVID symptoms are vanishing for some vaccinated patients, and we don't know why. And so people that have like muscle pain, insomnia, fatigue, and brain fog for 8 months after getting sick. That's called long versions of COVID, where you have
the long haulers.
Yeah, so that's what when you asked that question, that's just what triggered me to look that article up. I was just reading it today, but that's something that would probably hinder you from not only getting the vaccine as quickly as you want, but like limit the type of vaccine you can get. You have like these brain issues, neurological issues, perhaps. So but I think if you for instance, if you got Johnson & Johnson this year, once your symptoms subside, you get Johnson & Johnson. In another 2 years, I would, if it were me, if I was the patient, I would just be persistent about I insist, I have to demand that I need the same vaccine I got 2 years ago or a year ago. That's what I would do. I'd be like, look, let me get the same vaccine. They in South Carolina, they're trying to force the teachers to get a certain type of vaccine. I think they're trying to force them to do Pfizer. And mom was like, nah. She was like, hell no. So if you can't schedule in time, and scheduling was, I think the deadline is next Tuesday. You have to be able to schedule and show that you have it scheduled, or they'll just sign you up for Pfizer automatically. That's the state of South Carolina, and I'm not surprised because they've done so many stupid things in South Carolina. Anybody who's from there, But yeah, that's a really good question. I'm gonna read through the article again because there are people who have talked about what options do I have in a year or two? How long does it stay in my body? That I don't know. That's another thing I'm looking at. I don't know. What's going on, Rodney? You got something to say?
Hey, Rodney, how you going?
Hey, what's going on?
Rodney?
I just been following. It's been very interesting. It's taking me way back memory lane, down memory lane in college, man. I'm kind of missing it. But yeah, I took the Moderna, and I had some limited symptoms, but nothing that was really substantial. And most of the other people are having about the same symptoms, headaches and soreness and whatnot in the injection site. But that's about it. But right, yeah, I was just kind of listening to you guys talking about the long haulers, and I'm looking at what's his name? Rand Paul was talking about people, being reinfected and whatnot. I mean, I've got patients that have been infected 3 times.
Wow. Okay.
So him saying that there's no evidence is it's bogus.
It's bogus.
And for him to sit there and scold a virologist when he doesn't even have the background to even follow most of what he's talking about is kind of disgusting, really. Man, and a lot of things that we're talking about, Nicole is saying, we don't know what's going to happen, down the road. That's because they're gathering data right now.
Yeah.
This process is an extraordinary one, and they're gathering data as they go. I mean, this isn't like your casual process where you gather all the data before you deploy. We've deployed and we're gathering data. Even with the AstraZeneca, I mean, it's they're going back and they're checking it, and they're saying that there's no correlation to the the blood clots and all that. I mean, the blood clots could be. I mean, I don't know if these subjects already had COVID or what, but if they already had COVID, those may be some of the lingering symptoms from the initial infection. So I mean, because we do know that blood clots, are a problem. We are treating people for it. We're using anticoagulant therapies for it. We do know that the vitamin D and the vitamin C that we're giving in high doses, that's not working. You know, but
Really?
I knew that before. You know,
Okay.
we're trying to boost the immune system, but it's not working. I mean, the studies aren't even showing any benefit
Okay.
to trying to do that.
Wow.
What about, because they always say ivermectin and HCQ? I mean, I know that for some people they are effective. But what have you seen? Have you seen people try it or?
It's not across the board. I'm seeing some people get it and some people aren't. But I saw like on Art's channel, you know, he had had a doctor on there that was saying that, you know, we should be using hydroxychloroquine and all that. And I was like, nah, stop that. You know, I mean, it's like, but you, and the thing is that you have people out here who are listening to so many different forms of information, and then they don't even have the background to even be able to siphon, you know, sift through that. So, you know, I mean, that'd be like, you know, Nicole going out and throwing out, you know, a graduate level, you know, a book at a person and telling them to figure something out in it. You know, they wouldn't even have the roadmap to even be able to do that. And that's what we're dealing with.
I heard that discussion that I'm sorry to cut you off. But,
go ahead. No, you're fine.
I heard that discussion that you having with you and BGS on Art's panel that day. Who was I think it was Mike and Mr. Fantastic. God, he was there. I already told y'all about this dude, but y'all ain't listening. It's okay. It's okay. Anyway,
we listen. We listen. We listen.
Woosa.
Fantastically stupid.
Yeah. I know.
Okay. But, so I was like,
I don't listen to Fantastic.
The fact that he was arguing with Rodney and he's on there. Wait, Rodney is a nurse. He's a medical professional, and in my opinion, damn near a doctor. So whatever. But you know, y'all can do whatever you think what you want. But if you're in that type of capacity with COVID-19, which is epidemic levels, been a while, and you're going to argue with that, I'm like, what the hell? So that really pissed me off. I'm not even in that field of vaccine or nursing, but people like, I see them all the time. I mean, we still have the, you know, different places around here. We still have the military around. We still have tents and stuff.
Thank you.
We still have all kinds of stuff, you know, people, they try to hide. I'm like, I know you're an officer. Hello. Like, I can see that under your record.
If it's not real, why do you have military people over state health departments?
Exactly. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And they're not visible. They're not visible, y'all. So, you know, but they're here.
They're around. Yeah. People act like, oh, well, you know, y'all fear mongering, you know, with BGS, they going in, oh, you old nigga, oh, you know, nigga, da 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 da. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'm thinking, I'm gonna be honest right now. I mean, people can be like, oh, whatever, Nicole cussed too much. Like, nigga, if you can get to the age.
Yeah, I am. That's right.
To that age first, like, can you not be dumb and get to that age? Just get there. Like,
they don't know that that's a sign of intelligence, Nicole. You know that.
I was like, I'm like, wait, you're like, this old dude, how you gonna tell me this old dude need to be gone? I'm like, is he your daddy, your old dude?
Thank you.
Ain't
Did
you
listen to your old daddy, dude? Did you listen to him?
If you're over 40, you old dude right now. Like, you got some maintenance got to be done, you know, certain times. You know, this.
Absolutely.
I told BGS these dudes got you're wrong, daddy syndrome.
Oh, oh Lord, yeah, and see that prevents you from seeing. You know, it does two things. It prevents you from seeing what you are seeing. It also makes you want to tell people they're not seeing what they're seeing.
Right. But when you tell them, they go, well, how do you know? Because there's all this hotepism out here where people are saying, you know, these viruses and you know, folks using these treatments and whatnot. They're just not viable. It's all kinds of mental gymnastics they hump through. And I'm like, and I went through this with my cousin. I said, okay, so what are you reading? I said, are you familiar with reputable sources? You know, are you reading any scientific journals? Are you?
I'm acting up in the chat. I'm sorry. Abracadabra, sprinkle, sprinkle.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Razzmatazz.
Yeah. You know, it's sad because Black folks used to embrace education.
Right.
Now it's like we're running around wanting to be dumb so badly. It's ridiculous, man.
Well, you know, anything other thing it'd be different. But the thing is that we're so spoiled when we're being told what we can't do. And so anything that will actually verify what we're saying, you know, then we will want to hold on to it because they want. The thing is that if it was just something temporary, they could deal with it. But the thing is, you guys know this is probably not temporary. This is probably going to go on for a while, and you have to keep some of this stuff up. And they wanted to be false so badly, like made up, because if it's made up and it's a plan, it's a plot, it can go away. It's like it can go away tomorrow as soon as they say, "Okay, my bad."
That's what I hear in Rand Paul. That's what I hear in his arguments.
He don't want to spend the money. You don't want to spend all this money.
Right. But he's saying, you know, this is theater. Why are you wearing 2 masks? Why are you doing it? You know, it just sounds like a child, you know?
Oh, you know what I would have asked him? I said, well, why did those senators before this stuff really landed and got going? How come you have those 5 senators that withdrew all their money out of the stock market?
Right. That's what I would ask. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But then, you know, that's why I laughed at your Joker deal in your last stream. You know, when you're talking about the Joker, and I've got a longer one, but it's true. I mean, it's like these people will eat each other. If things get bad enough. And look, it's not even bad enough yet. We're talking about people just being inconvenienced and uncomfortable. And look what's happening.
Yes, people were when things started happening, their mind went to the movies. My mind went to what my father taught me, you know, because he was like, we're in a big city, this can happen, that can happen. And my mind also went to the safety and preparedness PDFs that I've been reading since I've been out here in LA, at LA County and the city of LA gas online.
Exactly.
And it's there, like, you know, this is what could happen, civil unrest, you know, some type of terrorist attack,
right?
And all this stuff. And I'm reading, I'm like, and I wasn't reading it to, you know, scare myself or fear myself. I'm reading it to be prepared. So I was calling, you know, and telling people and you know, I think because of a lot of training that people I knew have had before in the past, military and whatnot, they would talk to me like, you got this ready, you got that ready. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. So I really wasn't as worried and where I would make a like response like, oh, it ain't real. Like, no, I never said that.
Yeah. You know,
5G.
Yeah. Oh God, we had fun with that, didn't we?
I was like, it's
5G.
Oh God! Don't bring that.
And they live in an area where 5G doesn't even exist, and I'm like, oh my gosh, really?
Yeah.
If I want to smile, I just go watch. You know, BGS. You had 5G and Rona. That meat and Rona and all that stuff on here. I just go listen to that. And I'm like, man. I was like, go Ronnie. Like, go Ronnie. Go. And I'm like,
struggled during that time. Y'all remember how bad we were struggling with these folks?
Yeah. Oh, I still remember that day you went on camera and you looked like a ninja, dude. You had something
and you know, I was that way every night. And then I'm gonna tell y'all something else that was scary is I was an NBC officer in the military, so I was nuclear, biological, and chemical. So I had to set up containment fields for this very type of threat. Okay. So when all of this stuff started out, nobody knew how to do that. So on both my jobs, I set up those fields. So, and then I was pretty much the main one, one of the only ones who were willing to go back and, you know, and work the patients. So I can tell you that Like I told y'all in the beginning, I saw 25 people die in less than 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
That were perfectly fine. And all of these people are talking about these comorbidities and all of that. That is irrelevant information, because you can sit up and you can throw out all kinds of cardiac symptoms and renal symptoms and all of that. But you know what? People live with cardiac problems and renal problems till they're 80, 90 years old. Okay. But when you introduce into it another pathogen, you know, that causes system failures, you know, that is the cause of death. So then once I started seeing that this stratification of the causes of death and all of this stuff, this is a possible COVID death as opposed to them calling it. And I'm gonna tell you, I sat through that whole situation where they were cremating people. They were cremating people. People weren't being buried. They were being cremated.
Yeah.
So
in fact, somebody sent me a video from China where this lady was the older lady in Chinese was saying that they were cremating older people in Wuhan with COVID before they were dying. In other words, before they actually passed their last breath, they're just bagging them up and sending them to the cremator.
Jesus. You know, I'm telling you, it was.
I know they were just cremating from the beginning, because the vans that would take, or I guess trucks would have been taking the bodies. You know, they weren't moving as much. So I was like, obviously, if you got people dying all over the place and replace the transportation. Anything that would be transporting these people to like a state lab or, you know, somewhere like a central area, they're not moving, then clearly they're being cremated. They're being given orders to cremate them. Like they're not moving anywhere. So
but you know what else they did? Before they take them to these places, before they cremate them, they're getting tissue samples for you.
Yeah.
So that's the other part that these people don't realize.
No, not me. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. I came close to doing that, but it would have been a voluntary basis. I was like, volunteer.
Right.
Volunteer. You said what now? You said what now? After, I think they assumed that some people have not seen the critical damage to people's organs. Tissues.
Oh yeah.
And they I guess assumed that we hadn't read a lot of things.
Right.
I guess they just thought, okay, they ain't read nothing. They just in their labs doing their own thing. But they said, well, you can volunteer just 2 hours a day. And I'm thinking, like, this is not saving children. You know, 2 hours of just for 10 hours a day, you can save your community. No, you can pay me too.
That's right. Yeah, I ain't doing nothing for free.
I'm not doing nothing for free. Our technician actually went over there before she left, like 2 months after she started working there, which is very strange. But he was over there. And I accidentally walked in to do processing for some other samples, non-COVID samples, even though they were doing processing in there. And they're sitting here, everybody had on a bubble suit. I was like, what is this? And I walk in with my lab coat in my hand, no joke, lab coat in my hand, ice bucket, and my gloves in my back pocket. And I just walk in like, hey, mask on. And I'm like, okay, I'm trying to analyze my samples. And this lady next to me, I said, hold up. Why you got a suit on like that? You got a full suit with the little plastic face screen thing, you know, in the window.
Oh wow!
And gloves up, like, you know, under the suit. And I was like, okay, let me go ahead and log out. I logged out quick. Turned around. Somebody was to my left. She was to my right. Somebody was to my left. They were like, "What are you doing in here?" And they had that. What are you doing in here? You're not supposed to be in this room.
Yep.
Oh yeah. I was like, you don't have signs posted. I tried to go all, you know, I tried to get up for a quick second, but it didn't work. I said, y'all don't have signs posted outside. And they were like, it's a pandemic. We don't need signs posted.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
I was like, okay, y'all have a good one. Bye. And I ran out there. I had like all these baby wipes with alcohol that I already had in my purse. I'm sitting here like it's gonna help, Rodney. I'm sitting here wiping my face off, and I got to my office.
Shit, you think you done got into something? You would have wiping your face with stuff that ain't made for your face. You trying to do whatever you can.
I was like, Jesus, oh Jesus, I need water. I was like, let me drink some water. Maybe that'll help.
Shoot, hell, I was putting alcohol in my nasal passages. I was like,
oh wow,
shit.
I just drenched my hand with the we have spray bottles of 7% ethanol. I just sprayed my hands, like took the gloves off, just sprayed my hands down, like wiped my hands. My shirt got wet. I was just spraying everywhere. I said, you know what? I need to go home early today. My boss was like, why? I said, I went over there. I wasn't supposed to be over there. Why didn't anybody tell me? He was like, oh no, you're gonna be okay. I said, nah, forget that. I'm gonna employee health. I was like, no, I need to make sure.
Is that, and that's when you start asking, is that place ventilated? Is it, is it free flowing in the place? What's going on? You know?
It was a regular laboratory. They had the whole building had been converted into it's a lab to do RNA sequencing, core laboratory stuff. They and I was like, okay, that made sense to put it there because they can do all their sequencing of the patient samples right there.
Right. Oh,
you
Nicole, if you get a chance,
like patterns and stuff.
Go to my page and look at my COVID vaccine deal and look in the comments. And this guy came at me and he was like, You're an idiot or either part of the problem. Don't you know that PCR testing is unreliable? And first of all, dumbass, they're not using PCR testing. They're using swabs for active virus from your mucosa. So, I mean, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. It's just, I mean, these people are just coming. They just come from the hip shooting like, and they don't know what they're talking about. And I'm like, you know what? I would, and I tell them now, I just tell them I would be glad to, take you on a unit, an active unit, and walk you through and let you see what it looks like. And especially, I'm telling you, I'm taking a breather right now, but they say in 2 to 3 months that the dominant strain is going to be the one from Britain, and the second.
The new one, huh?
That's right. And the second runner-up is going to be the one from Brazil that took out a shitload of people down there. So you're going to have 2 massively virulent strains that are going to take over from the one that we just recovered from that we're immunizing against. Yes, we will have some degree of protection from it. But like Rand Paul is up there saying, well, there's no evidence that you can be reinfected. Yes, there is. And it's all you have to do is just come out and ask people who've worked it, and then on top of that,
he's a dummy. I can't do
it. At that level, they're not dummies; they're liars.
Yeah, I can't believe he's a physician. I can't believe he still has his license.
They are dummies for following him. Yeah, you're right. He is.
I know his father's a doctor. Is he a physician too?
Yeah. No, what is he? He's a.
You're right.
He's a physician, but he's what is his? I think he's specialized. I want to say it's something small. I mean, it's not big.
At this point, he's a liar because
he's definitely a liar
because the military is telling him something different. He's talking to people that we can't talk to.
Right.
And he can call up the CDC or even the White House and get the information himself. He's looking at the data. He looks at the data every day. I don't believe that. At his level, he looks at the data every day.
Right.
They look at all this data that's coming in more than once a day. So that it could be coming in every couple of hours or whatnot, and either confirming or denying what you had a couple of hours ago.
Right.
So you're in a constant state of stress, but you're also like lying about it. It's not going to help you.
No, they don't.
Eventually,
it's costing them way too much money. It's costing businesses way too much money. It costs the economy way too much money, and basically, that's like this is probably getting way off the topic. That's like Bitcoin is going crazy because you're borrowing all this money to keep your population alive, and it's ruining your dollar. That's like a lot of people are actually, rich people are actually transferring their dollars into Bitcoin because the dollar is taking a hit.
Right.
Because I think it was Bank of America is allowing their preferred customers to transfer their holdings into Bitcoin. So
wow.
So this is pretty serious. He don't want to spend any more money, so he's going to lie about it. So whether like I said that back in November, man, because you guys know science, I know politics, right? I told you whether this vaccine works or not, if you're gonna get shot with that vaccine, and they're gonna put you behind back to work because they're not gonna spend any more money.
Absolutely.
This stimulus is it. Okay, this is it. Your kids will be back at school, you will be back at work, and you will not get any more money.
Right. And it's gonna be population be damned. We're just gonna lose who we lose,
Yeah. Which is what some Republicans will say that in the first place.
Right.
The economy
fast tracking automation. Yeah. Fast tracking automation. We're seeing a lot of things that you were talking about years ago that are being fast tracked now.
Yeah, but what Nicole is sharing, because I saw that video, because I saw I see an article. It's an article. I see a picture. Ask any picture. Nicole showed me the video. Said, "Holy shit! Okay, this is active. We're going somewhere." So
yeah. Hey, Nicole, do you have any slides of tissue damage as a result of the COVID, or the cytokine storms and whatnot?
Not from COVID. I don't normally work with cytokines like that, or chemokines or anything. But
there was a doctor that posted some tissue samples, and they were heart tissue, kidneys. I mean, and he basically posted the destruction. And they were stained and whatnot. So you can tell the difference between normal tissue and damaged tissue the way this was. And I'm gonna tell you, it's nasty. It's nasty.
I know a friend of mine. She's older, right? Family friend. She's got she's got eye damage from COVID, right? Glaucoma, glaucoma. She's got a blood vessel burst in her eye, and all kinds of stuff. So. Yeah, this is people don't realize about the long haulers and the damage that's being done to your body. So even if it doesn't kill you outright, it's going to shorten your life.
And I think it's really crazy that the propaganda is still being allowed to be disseminated out to the people the way it is. Yeah. And we're the reason why these states are opening up is not due to the scientific data or the scientific community coming out and saying, okay, it's time to open up. This is a political move, a purely political move. And the science, it doesn't back them up. Really, we should be waiting until we get up to the point to where we're at least 80% vaccinated. I'm talking about both vaccines, because right now we're at, when I made that video, I think we were at 7% fully vaccinated from state to state.
Right.
And with one vaccine, it was only like 13 to 15% nationwide from state to state to state.
One shot.
And that's when they were saying basically, let's open up. I can't logically see how we got to that point. Not if you're going by science. Yeah. Now, if we're going by political, then I can see how we logically got to the point.
That's how it works.
Unfortunately, if it wasn't for Jerome Powell stepping in, it'd happen a lot sooner because you wasn't going to get a stimulus. Okay.
Right.
But Jerome Powell says, I don't know if you guys waiting on the vaccine rollout's going a lot slower. If you want to keep this economy alive, better give them another stimulus. But in fact, I might do a video on that because I should have done it then because. And most people think that I don't know what I'm talking about unless I say it like well in advance.
But
unless you show like pictures and they don't come on.
Well, the way I have to work with people is basically I have to tell them like 6 to 10 months in advance, right? And I have to go through that stuff, and then like 9 months is okay. It's starting to show up. Still got to be wrong. Still got to be wrong. Said, he's right.
Wrong, Daddy.
You're still wrong. In fact, Nicole, I want to thank you because my first think tank, right? It was in real life, right? They would give me a hard time about COVID, right? Until I shared you and Dr. Dunbar's video. Them Negroes got real quiet.
Oh, wow.
They got real quiet because they couldn't understand half of what you were saying. I told you these people are real. I said, I was waiting for. I said I waited on her to actually be public with it because I wasn't going to tell you who she was and she's got a job. I said when she's public, I'll let you know who she is.
But the exosome thing, I think that was something that one of your colleagues was talking about or was saying going in on. Yeah. It's interesting because you might be wrong in the moment, but you just hold on changes don't come. And then, like now you got exosome, the Exo CD24, I think,
Yeah.
which is related to that, and it, could be used. I think the Israelis are using it
Yeah.
now. So that's a good thing. But at the time, I was like, I think I mentioned like, maybe you can use exosome as some type of treatment or like a technique.
Yeah, you did.
But I didn't, I wasn't even. I was thinking of writing a grant at the time. So who knows what came out of my mouth at the time, because I was writing grants and trying to get money and everything, get stuff together.
We got to keep Jason happy, okay?
Now, yeah, that's good. You have to use. You have to. I just wish people would just look more like broad spectrum and not so like detailed, like and pinpoint on it's got to be exosomes. No, it's you got to look at it from a holistic point of view.
Right. They're grasping at straws. Okay, they're grasping at any straw that would prove that this virus is not real and it's not man-made.
For them to say exosomes and then not know what an exosome is, I was like, okay.
Because one of my colleagues.
I was like, okay, good night, folks.
You know what? What's so funny, because one of my colleagues did send me a video about exosomes, right, to prove his point, and that the viruses don't exist; they're exosomes. He sent me a video with two guys talking about exosomes, right? And they showed the picture. I said, dude, did you look at this video before you sent it to me? Because the video you sent to me with your experts are proving my point and proving you wrong. I said, you must not have looked at this. I said, look at a picture of an exosome versus a virus. That shows you the picture. They're different. Okay. And the fact is that people say, well, you can't really see them. I said, dude, they make circuits that are 2 nanometers.
Jesus Christ. He actually said that?
Yeah. He said, they have circuits that are 2 nanometers that they can take a picture of. And the virus is like virus is like 100. They can see that bad boy like a big blob. Okay.
That's right. I mean, now they can even show you things by scale. They can show you side by side by scale what you're talking about as far as how many nanometers that we're talking about.
Your iPad and your new iPhone has circuits that are 5 nanometers. Okay, they're not 5 nanometer process, and they can show you the little bitty circuits. Okay, they can see them. They can make them. Nicole probably can make viruses, eventually going to make artificial viruses down like to 10 nanometers. To the point you can't see them or feel them. Okay.
Well, I mean, if that fascinates them, then they better not even look into bacteriophages. There's so much stuff out there.
I showed that too, I think, and people were like, "What? I can't believe this." I'm like, this is out there. What are you talking about? All the time. It's like, and we don't use them that much. I should take that back. We don't use them all the time. We used to use them all the time, but they're too slow, and that's like old school, like bacteriophage.
Right. I mean, look, they were working on bacteriophages like in the 40s.
Yeah.
They did them a lot in the like the 80s and 70s and 80s because they were cheap, But their assembly is so annoying, and then like they're too slow. Like they don't do what they're supposed to do all the time, and you can't. They're not. It's a form of hardware for us instead of software. CRISPR is software, so this hardware, you can't get rid of it.
But they always quote antiviral, antibacterial theories going back 150 years. Okay, I said I can understand at his time he held these certain standards, but they don't hold now because you have equipment that bypasses all of that. Okay, you don't have to go through all those checks. All you got to do, like Rodney says, take an active swab, put it underneath one of those scopes. You can see that bad boy moving around. Okay?
That's right. You know what you got. If it's unidentified, guess what? You got a sample, and I'm sure you can grow it so that you can play around with it.
I give them a real simple case, right? You know what a normal what a normal cell culture looks like, right? Okay, if you take a picture of it and something that's odd in there that doesn't belong there, guess what? It don't belong there. There's something there.
Right.
Can't make this up.
We can identify like certain fat globules or certain things like infection inside of tissue, when you do the IHC, the pathology or histology staining, you can see like, oh, there's something there that's not supposed to be there because it may not stain the way the normal tissue does. Like for instance, like you compare like normal tissue that's adjacent to human tissue, you can tell the normal tissue is nice and organized. The cells look pretty much identical, but then the tumor tissue right next to it is a hot mess. It's like, what the hell? Like a bomb went off.
Absolutely.
Organized.
That's what it looks like. It looks like shrapnel. Yeah.
Out of order. Everything just a hot mess.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of blood vessels when you look at a lot of blood vessels and fat when you look at tumors.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at the normal tissue, there's like a little bit of fat. You know, the blood vessels are spaced out normally.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the red blood cells under the 5 micron piece of tissue under the slide.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can see the red blood cells. They're little red donuts. They're right there, and they're plentiful on the tumor side because they need blood. They need oxygen. You know, and the side where there's less blood on the tumor, that side of tumor is even worse because it's toxic.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can see all of that just like for a person with trained eye, you know, like Rodney or myself, you can look at it in a few minutes, like, okay, yeah, this is what this person is, or you know, you can start to, and then you do the follow-up blood tests and stuff to see what's going on. But like for a biopsy, they look at that type of stuff, they're like, dang.
You
can see the viral bodies, and you can see like all the protein that's associated with the virus. It's gonna be stained positive, very high for these COVID patients. Like you're gonna see it on the pathology slide. And this person's been dead for like a year, but that tissue like forever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tissues in the paraffin block. It ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Like when Rodney was saying that they looked at people's lungs, that it looked like broken glass. He said that, you know.
Ooh.
It looks like somebody put cotton in your lungs. Like it looks like white and everywhere. Just white everywhere, just a mess.
Yeah.
Like marshmallows all over the place. And some of them do look like broken glass, but I think it's because of the stress when you're all that coughing that you're doing.
Right. It's inflammation.
Yeah.
It's inflammation. And as you do all of that coughing, you're going to start breaking up tissue. And, then if you've got clotting in there, that also causes damage, but then you'll start getting fluid accumulation because of the inflammation process. And, it eventually it's going to drown you because you're going to have less and less area to basically circulate air. It's going to just close you off little by little, Yeah,
it's like the body's response to anything in your respiratory tract. It's what helps to stimulate that inflammation and more viral growth.
Right.
As you're coughing more and more, like Rodney's
trying to expel it.
Exactly. Every time you breathe in like this, cough out, expansion. But when you expand and then you contract and you cough out, which is the contraction part, you're stimulating the inflammation and the virus is getting more and more plentiful, filling up more space.
Yep.
And that, you're right. That is exactly what it is. And that's going to a later stage. And so when I look at, when I hear people talk about some of these things, I'm like, look, and I thought about what you asked me earlier, Rodney, and I did have some data, not from me personally, but I did.
Yeah. Just whatever you can find. Yeah. Because I've been looking all over.
I showed a research article last year, which indicated a way that you can, where they showed damage. I don't know if they showed. Yeah, they showed it. It was IHC and H&E stain pathology, hematoxylin and eosin staining for mouse tissues, and they were using a certain antibody they developed to block the viral infection. So what they did was they artificially infected these mice with SARS-2 COVID-19 human version. And these mice were genetically altered to accept the COVID virus, human version of the virus. So there's no mouse version. So
Right.
how do you get the mice to accept the human version of this virus? You have to make them human-like,
Mhm.
That's what they did. And then I remember I went through that whole, well, like most of that paper. So that did show tissues. I can't remember the name of the paper now, but it's in my archives. But that did show the tissues on the slide. I put the link in, I think, in the description box and stuff.
Mhm.
Check that out. But
Cool.
that's there, and that's showing how they recapitulated what happens in a human in the mouse.
Mhm.
They were telling me, like, after that, before that, well, it's exosomes. Okay. And you got the genetic, like, some of the supplemental work was, oh, this is genetically virus.
Wow.
This is genetically a virus. Like, you have exosomes, you have oncosomes. Those are not viruses.
No.
Those are like, people are trying to 3D print foods now because they're so popular, exosomes and stuff.
Yeah.
You can 3D print organs now if you want. You can do what you
Oh
want.
yeah.
But
Tissue. Yeah.
they're
Oh
doing.
man, that was the next thing I was because oh man, it blew my mind how far things have gone. But then what most people don't realize is, and I saw you guys going over the paper earlier, that is not uncommon practice for you to get something. You'll see something that they release right now, but it's been out. They've been perfecting the process forever.
Yeah. They just perfect it with private funding. So
absolutely. And that's where all of your dollars go from, the Pentagon that get lost every year.
Going to Elon Musk's pocket. They're in Elon Musk's pocket too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because we got to get rockets, man. And see, a lot of people don't realize too, and this is kind of off the subject, but the reason why everybody's pushing so hard to get into space right now, go to the moon and all that, there's an asteroid up there that is so plentiful with all of these rare earth metals and metals that we just don't have here on Earth that we can use to make, new technologies, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
They can go to this asteroid and they can mine this asteroid for generations. And
there's tons in the belt right outside of Mars.
Right. But this one is the first target. This one's the first target. If we can do it on this one, then they'll expand it. But they had to make up a new number for the amount of money that they can generate off of this. Yeah. Now, then you have to ask yourself why Bezos and Elon are pushing so hard to get these huge crew-sized vessels with cargo capacity larger than the shuttle had. That they're going to be able to basically launch out there, set up a base on the moon, and shoot from the moon, using water from the moon as fuel sources to basically get out here to start these mining operations.
Yeah,
I mean,
basically it's also set up factories on the
absolutely.
On the moon. And so because if you set up the factory there, to actually process, because it's got to be mined and it's got to be processed. So you got to process it on Mars, but it's easy to process it on the moon, and then it's a short trip to the Earth. Right.
Yeah. And you can extract all of the stuff that you don't want. And bring the stuff home that you want.
Yeah, you don't even need really from the moon. You don't even need a rocket. All you got to do is have a accelerator to actually shoot it there, and then something.
And it'll come down on its own. It'll get sucked into the gravitational well, and it'll come on down on its own.
Yep.
So I mean, but the science, what's so crazy? I mean, is that those of us who can recognize the science, we see it for what it is. But you got people out here, I'm telling you, it is so disheartening to see our people sitting up, coming on and saying things that don't make any sense whatsoever. And they are advocating for more of us to put ourselves out in jeopardy and to die for nothing, essentially.
Well, they're tired. They rather take the risk, and they're tired of being locked up, locked in the house. So yeah,
and you know what? I'm at the point to where I think we said this a long time ago. I'm through advocating for them to live. If Republicans and all these other folks want to go out and want to roll the dice, go ahead.
I said that a long time ago. Let them out. I'm holding them back.
That's right.
Yeah. So
go get it.
Like he says, if they die, they die. But the thing is,
that's my That's my that's my saying. That's my line.
But Nikole can tell you, boy, in LA, the first lockdown, people wouldn't wear a mask, right? After that winter time, when a lot of their relatives started dying and getting sick, and they start turning away from the hospitals and stuff like that. People don't go out there in public without their mask anymore.
Yep.
I see
my
everybody
mask on.
wearing masks.
I ain't stupid.
No, what I'm saying in LA, everybody's wearing masks. You don't see them, and if you're not wearing a mask, if they're not wearing a mask, they stay well away from you. Okay, they don't. A lot of the stuff that we're doing, they don't do no more because they've seen it.
Yeah, back when it first started, like even into the summer, people were like walking around and stuff, and I'm not telling them no more. That I'm not telling people anymore that they need to wear a mask. I'm just I already have mine on. I was doubled up since last April.
Right. Well, I was fighting with people. I was sitting up pulling down the regulations from the CDC and whatnot, and trying to get things to run the way they were supposed to be run. You know, they were so pissed at me. It wasn't even funny. I mean, I really just had to just stop talking because they would just do it the way they wanted to do it. I mean, you're supposed to be tested. Once you have an initial infection, you're supposed to be tested every 3 to 5 days until you're cleared. Okay. We were doing that initially, and then later on, all of that cut out. You know, because they're going to be in here. You know, initially, through the quarantine period, which is what was stated, and they wiggled on that from 12 to 14 days. They kept wiggling on that. So essentially, now what they do is they'll stay in there for 14 days, and they'll just release them.
Wow.
As if the virus is just automatically gone at that point. But like I said, we had one person who left out, and we retested them. I think it was like a couple of months later, and they were still active.
Wow.
But they hadn't been around anybody else that was active.
They're active 2 months later?
2 months later.
Damn.
And symptomatic. And symptomatic.
Get out of here.
Yes, sir. And symptomatic.
So they could, so 2 months later, they can actually go out and infect people.
Yes. Sure
wow.
Could.
That's scary.
They talked about that initially, but then they stopped talking about it. They're talking about carriers, asymptomatic carriers.
Wow.
So we were seeing multiple infections with asymptomatic carriers, or possibly carriers who basically maintain in a viral state. But
whoever made this thing was a genius.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It was. It's just a long time.
You wasn't working in Wuhan like a year ago, were you, Nikole? So this is some NikoleAli level stuff right here.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Beg your pardon. What you say, sir?
Allegedly.
Sorry, sir.
Allegedly.
She can't confirm or deny her location.
Exactly. Hey, there you go. But when you said if he dies, he dies, that's my line. All that was like, I was sleeping without the mask, coughing.
Don't worry about it. I use this.
Literally, like lady coughing out blood, like I saw on the floor, grocery store.
Oh.
Well, I left my stuff in the basket and walked off, and I thought, if this bitch dies, she dies. If she dies, she dies. I wouldn't give no assistance. I mean, when you've been taught a certain way, like to take care of people and to help people, I was like, I walked off. I walked out with my head held high in the sky, like, you know how you have your jacket be just like you pop your jacket back.
Turn the collars up and walk out.
She dies.
Look over your shoulder and say, "Oh shit, gotta go."
Exactly. I had a basket full of grocery, y'all. Basket full of grocery. I don't even go to the grocery store no more. I just do delivery. I'm done. But I had a basket full, and I was like, "Dang, I gotta leave all this stuff here." I said, "Well, whatever." I walked out. I didn't even go to do anything. No.
Ronnie, why I got you up here? What are your thoughts?
I got to roll out. So thank you. I'll be looking on the replay, and as always, man, you and Rodney and Dr. Dr. Dunbar and even Super Triz, man, you guys are just gems, man. I hope people appreciate this, man. What we're getting, because You won't hear this anyplace else. I swear to God. Like what you guys did on Johnson and Johnson, that didn't come out in the papers till like 2 months later. What you guys were talking about, 2 months later. So you guys
Yeah.
get cutting edge stuff. So I hope people appreciate this. I've sent my links out to my think tank. I hope they're watching. So and taking this in because they were actually impressed with you, babe. I'm telling you. You know, when they were,
It should be.
They were good work. They were just like, wow, she's really smart. Half the stuff I didn't understand what she was saying. So I told you, I told you that's my girl, man. And Jason's probably not too far behind.
Oh, he's actually, he's more he's out there. I'm like, I can't be understanding none of this stuff, man. He's a math person.
But he can't cross the street by himself because some of them people like that can't cross.
You know what? You're right. They can't even they can't drive. They can't, but he's good. Like he grew up in Compton. He's fine, but it's just his family, I guess being Belizean, like a lot of them, they're like really, really good at math, engineering, science, aerospace, things like that. That's their that's just how it is.
You know what Belizeans do that most black folks don't do? They study.
Yeah. He was good because he's the last one. It's 13 of them. So
wow.
He just passed doing everything, and he got, I was like, you basically could just choose what you wanted to be. Like you could just based on what they did, like, oh, I don't like these books. Okay, I'll try this. He said that's what happened. He tried different things and he got right. And now, what he's doing is engineering and doing a lot of inspections for just like I would say like private projects. Most of them aerospace. So, most of like small technologies and machine learning stuff. Okay. But I don't know what the hell that stuff is. I'm like, I don't know what this is.
I'm sure he looked at your stuff and like,
that was our presentations, and I'm sitting there like drinking my little tea, like yeah.
Teaching your PC to do stuff we do, pretty much. That's what machine learning pretty much is.
He's like, he all excited. He's like, yeah, and so this part right here, and so this is gonna be here, and he's explaining to me, and I'm like, what word is that?
You're checking.
So in other words, this is WandaVision on steroids. Huh?
I don't know. I haven't seen your show yet.
You gotta see it.
Oh, you gotta see that show.
I guarantee you, WandaVision is like you and Jason.
Yeah, he I don't know what he was talking about. I'm like, it's too much math. My eyes be crossed. I'm like, I can't do it. And then I present my work. I'm like, okay, now you're gonna listen to what I have to present. I gotta do this grant presentation and blah blah. So I'm going through it. He's like, man, you don't get to the goddamn point, man. What the hell? Who's the bad guy? Just I already said who's the bad guy. I said, well, yeah.
In other words,
we're doing this for that's the bad guy.
Where's the equal sign? Huh? That's what he's looking for.
Where is the? He said he was like, I don't need all them details, all them goddamn details. I was like, well, that's what the introduction is. You don't need no introduction, just show the data. I'm like, no, I can't do that. I have to show the introduction, the background. And he was like, background is prostate cancer is bad. Moving on. Okay.
Oh wow.
Nobody wants to see all that.
That's hilarious. Yeah, y'all
want to see no pictures of no prostate up there. Why you showing that? Why you showing all this stuff? Like, what if there's somebody in the audience? What if? Oh, they need to go read a book then. They got a damn computer.
Somebody raised their hand at the beginning of the presentation. What the fuck you doing here? What are you doing here?
Why you here? I was like, you need to be here is when I go, because then you could be like, nope, you gotta go. You need to go read. You need to go read.
That's right. You ask questions at the end. You get the fuck out of here. You can't follow the first part. Get out of here.
You got questions? Get out of here. They go in Mother Russia. We don't ask no questions. Get out of here. Get.
Yeah. That's right.
If you're in a math class, that would higher math class, that would happen. What are you doing here?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's like, man, you got to think. These people, they advanced. They know what's going on. They know what this stuff is. I was like, I said, the rule of thumb is that you can present this to a sixth grader, then you've done a good job. Ain't no sixth graders in there.
Yeah. That ain't gonna happen.
So I have really taken his advice. Like I made my my presentation's like, 20 minutes or less. Like usually these things are like an hour, and I've like crunched it down. And like us doing the different, presentations with each other and helping each other. That is really what it's about. Like sometimes I'm presenting this, and he's like, "Okay, what's the acronym?" I said, "See, this is why you need to read the glossary." I didn't read no damn glossary. I didn't read no glossary. Like, you need to read the glossary. I gotta read before I see the presentation.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, you should read. Like, oh God.
Yep.
And he was like, "You'd be the worst teacher ever. Nobody will learn anything." I'm like, okay.
Like people don't read in school. Shit, that's the first thing they tell you to do. Read this shit, come back tomorrow.
Yeah. But what's going on, Judge? I see you here.
What was you gonna ask, maybe?
I was gonna ask you, what are your thoughts on? Because I know somebody with COVID, and they after they had COVID, they went vegan, and what I just want to know what your thoughts on that.
I know why they went vegan. They think that by going vegan that they they get some kind of benefit from boosting their immune system and whatnot. And there's a lot of push out there for that. There are a lot of people capitalizing on other people's dysfunction. There's no evidence that that's what's going to happen after you get COVID.
Okay.
Or prior to you getting COVID, you change your diet, and that, a lot of people are advocating that they don't take the vaccine and that they just change their diet and go vegan. But look, what they don't tell you is that when you go vegetarian, you have to take enzymes because you're not a vegetarian, you're omnivore. So if you're going to be on some kind of medication, in order for you to maintain that type of lifestyle. Because if you don't, then what's going to happen is you're going to become deficient in a lot of things that you need, vitamins, minerals, whatnot, that are essential for your body to work correctly. So that's not what people are telling you.
Yeah, I remember Emil was talking about, he was asking that question on BGS stream once.
All right.
He was saying, "You think that being vegan is a good, better option?" And I was like, no. He asked it. I was like, no. I was listening.
You're right.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I know you guys can't give advice or nothing like that. So we're just going to put it in the word of what precautions and what are you doing?
What am I doing?
Yeah, because
go ahead. I'll let Nicole go first.
I want to hear both of y'all because I hate to say, unless one of y'all tell me I'm not doing it. I'm sorry to say that. I'm sorry to say that. I mean, it's just what it is. Until they convince one of you guys, and I ain't even gonna lie, they got to convince both of you. If both of you don't agree on the same thing, then I'm not listening to nobody else.
Well, I'm honored.
Is I only work 60% of the time, so I mean I'm physically at my job 60% of the time. I know that Robbie can't necessarily do that. No. I can work 3 days, physically work 3 days, half days. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, I'm at home doing what I gotta do at home working. But that's just mainly because I'm pregnant. Like I have no choice, and I can't be like I'm breaking down physically, like breaking down this child. This girl, but that's the only thing. When I do go out, I have double mask. I've been double masked, like I said, since last was that March, April, well, end of March, early April. I've been masked up, double masked for a long time. So I do that. I change my mask every day.
Yeah.
Should I wet one? Should you wet the outside one?
No.
Okay, see, never do that. I remember saying
if the inside mask or outside mask is wet, I change it. I change it right then. I always keep extra mask in my pocket or my purse.
Absolutely.
Or in a Ziploc bag in my purse somewhere. I always keep baby wipes soaked in 70% alcohol or higher. If I can get 100, I do 100% alcohol. But I thank you, Grinch. He said I broke his heart. Oh Lord, thank you, Grinch. Yeah, I think that that's just good precaution to take. Try to get enough fluid so I won't get dehydrated. And this is for anybody. It's just anybody that's listening too. Try to keep exercise and eating regimen pretty much the same. When it comes to taking the vaccine, I can't take it, but people who are around who have taken it, they've taken Moderna. It's like a mix of different ones. Some people have taken Pfizer, and I can't say for sure if you have comorbidities or like being overweight or being older has anything to do with side effects. Because there's people that's real skinny, like real thin and in shape and work out all the time. They had worse side effects than other people.
That would be me. That would be me because I'm like that one. I'm one of the ones. I'm always losing weight.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, if you're wearing a mask, don't touch it. Try not to touch the outsides of it. Touch the edges when you're repositioning it, putting it on or whatnot. Make sure that you're wearing it properly. There are no breaches around the sides of it. If you're gonna double mask, make sure that you can breathe properly in it, because if you're not ventilating properly, that's a bad situation. You may put it off in a situation where you may be in close proximity to somebody. I will maintain that social distancing of that 6 feet. I would definitely, anybody who's actively coughing, any of that kind of stuff, you stay away from them. Basically,
what about like masks like these?
I wouldn't wear the blue mask that they're telling everybody to do.
The one I'm in the picture. Look at the picture.
Hold up. I can't hardly see it either. Let me turn my phone to the side.
Frame. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's good, but it depends. You have to have the right filters. I mean, that's kind of overkill, but you got to have the right filters. You have to have HEPA filters in there that are rated for viruses.
Right.
So if you don't have that, then
or something, that's not the same thing.
Right.
The only time I really go out around people is when I have to go make a run. I ain't even gonna lie, man. Thank God I ain't working down in that office building no more, man.
Right. See, they're pushing for people to wear regular masks, the regular blue surgical masks. They're not rated for keeping out viruses. So
he said blue surgical masks ain't rated for keeping out viruses. And they've been talking about that shit. Now I'm talking to somebody here.
Yeah, the blue ones and the yellow one. Yellow ones.
They telling you to wear that shit.
Right. Well, they're pushing that because it's cheaper. See.
Right. They know people can afford that.
Right.
And they're not expected to be out and about and around people very often. That's another thing.
You're supposed to be out to get what you're supposed to get and get back in the house. That's what you're supposed to do.
That's how I operate.
You're not supposed to be cohorting around a lot of people and stuff, and you're going to start seeing a lot of people eating out and stuff. I wouldn't suggest doing that until we get up to that 80% vaccinated. And then we're still going to have to account for the people who chose not to take it. Because you can be infected.
But see, I ain't gonna lie. We thought that I had it last week. I had to run and get emergency tested, but I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I do want to hurry up and get everything back to normal, but
of course,
I ain't got no insurance.
Hell,
so
don't we all?
I want to die.
I mean, I've been in this shit since last year. So I mean, I know how you feel. And the longer this goes on, the lazier we tend to get, or we start to get reckless. See, that's one of the things that they used to be able to do. If you were in a hot area, you wear this stuff, but you were able to retreat out of that area for time so that you could rest and recoup mentally, and then you go back in, and then you can stay focused. Now we've been in this so long that people are pulling their masks down in places where they know the virus is, and it's crazy.
I'm not gonna lie, I do that a couple times. Cause sometimes it just be so damn hard to breathe.
Right, it is. I mean,
I ain't gonna lie, them regular masks, I cannot wearing the mask that just cover on your ears. It's hard to breathe in that for a long period of time. Like I can put on the mask that I do for work, like to cover the dust. But I figured maybe I'll just do that because it's hard to keep that mask on, especially when talking.
Yeah, it is. And we're starting to see.
For me, I had to adjust myself, because I don't move as fast as I can't move fast anyway, but I can't move as fast as I normally would. Cause I don't want to pass out. Like I don't want to.
And your oxygen requirements have increased because you're pregnant. So
more blood volume and all that. And so I have to talk a certain pace with the mask on. This is why I get there at 7 a.m. So I have to wake up like no later than 4:30 to leave here by like 5:15. I have to be because it takes so long to get to work here. And because that tells you the volume of traffic is up again. But yeah, I get there at 7. I leave at 1, no later than 2 p.m. I'm gone. Yeah. Number one, because I cannot be there all day, because by, I would say like around 10, 11 o'clock, that's when more people are coming to work, and we have to keep the numbers down. And so I'm like, okay, if I leave by, 1, 2 o'clock, there's two things that happen. One, I'm avoiding a lot of people being around me. And two, I'm avoiding all that, late rush hour traffic after 5 o'clock. So, trying to keep myself, like, my stress level lower. Some people don't have that luxury to, get there so early and leave so early. But I can do that. And when the work doesn't end when I get home, I still have to jump on my computer and do more stuff. But Tuesdays and Thursdays are like times for meetings, appointments, and I just put everything, appointments and meetings, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and reading and writing and stuff that are different things I'm writing. So that helps me out. It also keeps our, because if I think there's 1, 2, 3 people who stay home Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so the days that we're not there, it really does help the people that are going in, that are there like from 8 to 6. Me, I'm not about to be 8 to 6. I'm just not gonna do that no more. Like, this is just not me. I used to be there like 7 to 7, 7 to 5. That was me. But I'm like, nah, I can't. You have to know your limits and not overexert yourself. I think that's important. People keep forgetting that. They keep overexerting themselves, and people passing out and stuff like that. So I understand what you're saying about the mask.
Well, I'll say this. After I had it, it's like, I ain't gonna lie, my stamina is way lower than normal. And I mean, like, you guys always saw me, I'm working all the time. Yeah. It's like the stamina, and sometimes I will admit, sometimes I just get, like, you sit there, you get so tired, you just can't move. And I think the only thing, it's like my breath still has not come back to normal yet. I feel like somebody said, you got to run 3 blocks. I probably die at the end of that 3 blocks. Like,
wait a minute. Did you already have it, Joy?
Yeah, I had it. But then I had it again just last month, because they took me, I was out sick, and then, like, everybody was like, no, don't come to work. And even though I'm like, I work by myself, but sometimes other people come in the house, so they could be exposed by me.
So your lung capacity.
I had another emergency test. Yeah, I had another test, and it was like I was clear.
You're not back to normal, is what you're saying.
I've been back to normal since before the first time. Like, the breath still is there. It's like sometimes I feel like pressure in the lungs, but they told me I had lung damage when they had to X-ray my lungs. Yeah. And they said I got lung damage because, I drive an electric bike, and one of the times there's been sometimes where I felt like I was just about to pass out.
Yeah. Have you had a pulmonary function test?
No.
Okay. When you get a chance, you need to have a pulmonary function test.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, oxygenation meter as well, right, Ronnie?
Yeah, pulse oximeter. You can get a pulse oximeter from Walgreens, and you need to see where you're statting at. Get your normal stat level when you're like sitting down. It'll tell you what your pulse levels are, and it'll tell you what your blood oxygenation is.
Say the name of that machine again. You said
pulse oximetry. It's a pulse oximeter.
Look up a pulse oximeter. You say you can buy one at Walmart. Can you look that up for me? We'll stop and get one.
Yeah, and if you can't, then buy it off Amazon.
Oh, pulse oximeter. They're supposed to sell them at Walgreens.
Mm-hmm. And then something else that you can get is you a incentive spirometer, and you're gonna have to do that like periodically throughout the day to try to work your lungs.
What's it called? Is that the one with the ball in it? That's what that thing is?
Yep. That's exactly what it is.
All right.
Is there a way to do that? Because I was talking to a colleague, and they were saying good times of the day to at least look at the readings from a pulse oximeter would be when you first get up and when you go to sleep, because a lot of people with COVID or even post-COVID damage to the respiratory system, especially the lungs.
Mhm.
They have issues like at night when they're coughing at night.
In the bed, yeah. In the bed when I first wake up in the morning, I'm tired as hell, even though I'm in the sleep. And and then even at night when I'm laying in the bed, sometimes it's like I'm laying here, I ain't done shit. It's like and I notice my productivity is nowhere near the same.
Yeah.
Something else that may help you.
Took a big job.
I know you don't have insurance, but something else that may help you eventually, if you get to the point to where you can do that, is get you a sleep study, and then you can get a BiPAP machine or an auto set, and basically what it'll do is it will supplement you as far as pressure to keep your lungs open and functional while you're asleep. But until you get to that point, you might want to sleep with your head elevated. That'll ease you up a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of like almost like you being in a reclined position almost.
Yeah, I should say that. They have these nice little chairs. I was looking at one for myself. It's about $80 on Amazon. Like, okay.
Right. They have these pillows too. That's like a foam arch like you can put underneath your pillows and whatnot. That'll keep you kind of elevated.
Yeah.
Because
you make sure you
probably
tell Faulkner that too, man.
Yeah, I've been talking to Chuck, but Chuck thinks he's Superman. So
yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I thought I was Superman too until that month I was down. Shit, it showed me what Superman was. When you I feel good. Then an hour later, like you can't move.
Right. Well, and here's the thing: when you're walking around, it's like Nicole said, is in the morning and night. But when you're exerted, you need to see what you are when you exert yourself, when you walk, when you go shopping, when you go do whatever it is that you do. You need to know what your levels are, because if you drop down below 90%, that's a bad deal.
Yeah, and you can go ahead and make your way to the ER if you drop below 90%.
Absolutely, because you're gonna need supplemental oxygen.
Yeah, if you have if you do the sleep study, because a lot of people, they actually get paid to do certain sleep studies. My mom did that once, and she got paid for it, and she got a lot of medical equipment afterwards. And she doesn't use it now. This is years ago, but that's something that people do to see. I think they should require you to do that if you have physical tissue damage, lung damage. You should be required to do a sleep study if you've had COVID.
Right, and you've got other types of machines. There's another machine called a trilogy, and basically what it is it's right. But that machine.
How you spell that?
It's called trilogy.
Like trilogy is like three, and then three trilogy.
Oh, trilogy ventilator.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but that this is up there, but that machine is almost like a vent. It's like a smaller level of event that you can be on and off of. It's more like a sleep, like a BiPAP machine or an auto set machine, but it has a higher capacity for like people who are larger and whatnot. But that will be a situation where they would have to diagnose you and see what pressures you would need and whatnot in order to get you with the type of machine that you need. But I agree, Nicole. That definitely should be something that could remedy that situation and help people out, because I'm sure what we're going to start seeing here is probably people passing in their sleep and whatnot.
Strokes.
Right, and strokes from the stress of not oxygenating properly and all of that. It's but we don't know. I mean, we're still in the process of seeing a lot of the effects that are going to be lingering from this over time.
I'm gonna write another grant.
You find one? Yeah. You find one?
That's gonna be another grant. Okay, let me get this. Let me start getting this money together and get this stuff. One thing that I was looking at with my grant was aging. Well, one thing we know is that because I'm not trying to joke about this at all. It's just that if you are looking at aging, we know for sure if you don't get proper sleep, you age faster. Okay. And you don't know if you're getting proper sleep consciously. It's a subconscious thing. Your brain is not getting enough oxygen over time. If you add up the seconds, milliseconds, that your brain is getting oxygen, seconds turn to minutes and hours. Okay. well, if you count up all those seconds, 365 seconds, if you have 1 second per night that you have loss of oxygen, maybe through the whole night, half a millisecond here, another millisecond there, here and there.
Right,
And it just
adds up.
1 second per night. That's 365 seconds in a year.
Right. You don't get your sleep back.
Years, 3,650 seconds gone off your life. Well, how is that really affecting your brain capacity and your circulatory system, your nervous system? That is something that definitely needs to be done. They probably are doing a study. I just haven't heard of it. But yeah, oh my God, that's really, really hard to hear, because when you not doing anything at all and you have this effect, your brain is going to say, wake up, and you're like you waking up, but you're gasping for air at the same time.
Right.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I mean, so I've noticed the difference, and I've talked to other people, and they say the same thing. But too, I think too, it's like you go in there with no insurance, and they kind of like rushing you out the door.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, and that's some bullshit, because they already noticed the epidemic going on. But the what was it? It was something I was going to ask. Oh, do you have they probably didn't do this with you, but if they had the albuterol sulfate and the nebulizer, or you had the nebulizer treatment, like that would help too. Or if you got just a basic, like you got basic Primatene Mist, because that would actually reduce some of the inflammation, at least temporarily, for you to get to the hospital. You see what I'm saying? Or urgent care or something. Like you got just inhaler. They're like $30 CVS.
Yeah, but get your sats first. Get your sats first. Find out where you're at.
Yeah,
and then
I'll buy one on the way home tonight.
You're right.
Right, and the inhalers will help. They will increase your pulse.
Yeah.
So they're gonna rev you up. They may mess with your sleep, but
you can't use it at nighttime.
If you need it, use it. But definitely know where you are, so that once you do get back to a doctor, you can tell them that this is what's happening.
Yeah. I think most of the inhalers, like that's over the counter. I was thinking about, I mean, you have albuterol, you have a few others. That's the one that I can remember as a child having that nebulizer. Now they're not doing nebulizers in the hospital because you're just transmitting potential COVID or other things into the air. We're not going to use a nebulizer. There's no such thing as a closed nebulizer. Because you're aerosolizing all of that chemical, that drug, into the air.
Coming right out, right. Yeah.
Going to the vents, is going everywhere. So they can't do that. At home systems are expensive without insurance. They're expensive with insurance. So but the inhaler is, you can use, I'm saying that's something you can use, like if you think about like an EpiPen, you use the EpiPen when you have an allergic reaction, but you have to get yourself to the hospital or to urgent care or something immediately after using it. It will, of course, it will dilate you. It's a bronchodilator, and that's just to get you enough oxygen, not too much, but just enough oxygen to function, to keep your brain going, to keep you going. Then you get to the urgent care, the hospital, to take care of everything else. But yeah, Ronnie's absolutely right, because that's something they don't tell you. Like, you need to get your stats. You need to get everything that
they didn't say none of that shit.
All the numbers you need to know. But see, that's something you can log yourself. You can log those numbers. But when you get up in the middle of the day, when you're most active, and then the evening, like right after taking a shower, you get you're kind of calmed down. Then you get the late night numbers. You can start seeing that graph, like seeing a pattern start to form with those numbers. If you start putting it in a chart, you have 3 columns: morning, midday, evening, and you go, day 1, 2, 3, all the way down. By day 15, you should see a pattern where perhaps upon waking, you have higher numbers or something. I don't know, but it could be a pattern there.
Right.
I don't see.
You can keep a log, and you can definitely show where you're desatting, where your pulse may increase because you're exerting yourself a whole lot more. If you're having any kind of pain, your pulse will increase. So you'll see things like that, and if they do a sleep study, I'm polysonography trained as well, so I used to do sleep studies too. Hang on, y'all.
Seven Coast asked if you can use KN95 masks.
Well, if you keep it properly, yeah, you can use it. You can use it over and over and over. But if it gets soiled, if something happens to it that looks like it's starting to get all brown and jacked up in it, you need to get out of it. At the most, I would say wear it a week, and then change mask.
Okay.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. You could probably you sitting up there the more you reuse it, basically you're just increasing your chances.
Right. Because nothing is perfect with these masks.
Did I drop off?
Nothing's perfect. You have to remember that. And not only are the masks not perfect, you're not perfect either. So, you may do something. You wear glasses, Judge, so you may do something with the mask. You and Rodney. I even wear glasses from time to time. And I found accidentally touching the mask. I'm like, touching it too much.
Right.
Yeah, I try to when I go out, I try to keep. I wear work gloves, and normally I try not to touch them. I keep a habit of not touching my face when I got the work gloves on. But sometimes I wear them when I go to the store, because once I see the gloves, I won't touch my face. You know what I mean? Because you always keep pushing the glasses up. Yeah.
I didn't want to go to. I just for vanity reasons, I didn't want to get the string to put on my glasses like my mama got. I just didn't want to do that. I was like, I don't want to have a string on my glasses. No.
Why not? It messes with your look.
No.
No. You look like the old people. You look like the old people.
I didn't want to do it. She was like, just get one that's stylish. Y'all girls like cherries and different kind of fruit and stuff. I was like, I ain't about to have no string with bananas on it. Like, come on. Lord, she said, get one that's got stars or something on. I was like, no. But, I have issues with that too. I wear gloves and see, I have a brace on my right wrist, halfway of my arm, all the way down to my hand. It's a brace because I have carpal tunnel really bad in my right arm.
You got carpal tunnel really bad? What are you doing for that now? Annie might want to talk to you about that. She's going through that now. She's having trouble with the carpal tunnel. Nicole got carpal tunnel.
Yeah, I use Aspercrene. It's a lavender scent, and I also
wait. Stop. Let me give her the earpiece so you can.
Y'all gonna laugh at me, but something's called veterinary liniment. It's called horse liniment, and I use that in my arm with I just put that on with cotton balls, and that is it's a veterinarian liniment, and it's an orange bottle. It's got a horse on it. Don't get scared. So I use that for the pain of the carpal tunnel, and I rub that on my wrist every night before I go to bed, and then I wrap my wrist with the ACE bandage. Then I put on this it's a brace. It's like a brace with the Velcro and everything. And
she wears those at night, and she uses the BioFreeze.
No, I didn't use BioFreeze.
But she says that's not working right, really like that. And she had to come off of work because of that. She was saying that, like literally in both hands.
Yeah, I use something that they use for horses, and I'm like, if the horse's muscles can be cured from this and treated with this, my muscles can be treated with this too. Because
the name one more time.
It's veterinary liniment. I have to hold on. Let me try to find the actual name. The brand name. Absorbing. Oh Lord. I'm gonna see if I can find it.
You have to order it, or can you get it from the store?
You can get it from the well, if y'all have feed and seed stores, y'all can get it from there.
From where?
Feed and seed stores.
GNC?
Feed and seed. You know how they have like stores like where you buy different things for your livestock.
Oh no, we're in Ohio. We in Cleveland.
Yeah, he's Cleveland.
I'm sorry. I mean, let's
Trey,
see.
order it from
oh my
Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon. Amazon, bro.
Yeah, can you find a link of the exact thing that you're using, and I'll order that too right now.
Yeah, here it
Please.
is.
Thank you. I mean, God, look at this, man.
I'm
You
fine
come to the
with-
manosphere and get everything. Got to find somebody to fix everything.
Yeah, here it is. Sorry about that. So the it's gonna be an orange bottle. It's called Absorbine. It's been out since 1892. They've been making it.
You got the link or no?
I put the link in the chat room.
Oh, here's the link right here. Order something.
Veterinary liniment. And I use that. I got the 32-ounce bottle. So I use cotton balls and just put a little bit of that on my wrist. All around my wrist, up my arm, wherever I have the pain, especially around the thumb area, I have pain there. And then I put the wrap on.
You put it in the back chat or in the front chat?
It's in the front chat.
Okay. Microfluids for sperm research. No, I see StreamYards on it. I went on here. Maybe I need to read.
No, it's on down. You have to put live.
Yeah. Scroll all the way down. I see the link.
Scroll all the way down.
I'm using two phones. I'm using a different phone. The StreamYards don't like iPhones.
And the wrist wrap is that is I have the issue with the carpal tunnel blood, the circulation issues that you have when you have a child that's very active and moving around and doing crazy stuff. So it's like the blood is higher blood volume causes like blockages and stuff.
Well, it does have a horse on it.
Okay, check this out. So which one did you get? It was the veterinary one?
Yeah, it was it's called veterinary liniment Absorbine. It has the horse on it.
Absorbine veterinary. Yeah, it's $12.95 on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was $11.95. It came up on mine, but yeah, I guess it's cheaper depending on where you're at. But I just went to the link. Yeah, I just went to the link. You can use my credit card.
But get this: the same bottle on Chewy.com is $25.90.
Right.
Okay. You can go ahead and order that. And you can
it's $11.95 on mine too, but that might be because I have a Prime. So
you can use it for muscle aches. You can use it for even if you have a cold. You have I'm thinking of Judge because if you have any kind of wheezing, that happens because of pressure or abrupt changes in temperature. Because I've had this issue. It's been like warm in the daytime and just really cool at night. I'm talking about in the 70s in daytime and sometimes in the 50s at night, and it's really cold. And I just take a washcloth and just sprinkle some of this liniment on it and just put that on my chest, like under my pajama shirt or something. Put that on my chest and pin it to my shirt. Pin it with some safety pins to my shirt inside. Man, after like 5 minutes, ain't no wheezing. No wheezing.
Well, don't worry. We just ordered it now.
You'll get it then. Good. Because
anything else?
We've used that for we've used that since I was a child. Like my grandmother used it with her livestock, and she used it on us. She said, "Hell, if it makes the horses fine, y'all kids ain't no better." I'm like, what? And we have to get that. She would put a little bit of it in the bathtub. We would take a bath, and it would help a lot with like muscle aches and stuff. It really helped.
You put that in the bathtub?
Yeah, we put it in the bathtub with some stuff. Well, I don't want to sound too country, but hell yeah.
Oh,
Huh?
You said it would be like something like Epsom salt.
Yeah, you can do Epsom salt, but this you have to use. I would say use it sparingly. In a bathtub of water, like maybe a couple of tablespoons. That's it. It doesn't take, and it's very strong. It is very, very strong because what they do is they put this on the rags and they wipe the horse's legs down, like before racing or
you can always lie and say you feel hurt
that they're going to be doing, like where they need their legs. Especially in the winter, that's what you do. Wipe the horse legs down. So it's the same thing. Like with human being, we just ain't got no hair. So it worse is
joking with me saying she want her forever because they ain't approved her crap yet. I told her, I said, shit, you can always lie and tell them you hurting when you ain't. But there ain't no point of sitting there in pain because she got hurt on the job.
They have wrist wraps on Amazon too.
She got she's on workers' comp right now, but you know how they do the crap where they try to make you jump through 20,000 hoops before they want to keep paying you.
Mm-hmm.
You know how that is.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on Amazon looking up some stuff. I love Amazon now. Like I'm sitting at home just ordering stuff up.
Well, they put everybody else out of business, so if you need to find stuff, you look on Amazon.
Me too.
I'm like, damn you, Amazon, submit, proceed, like, pay.
Which is why I got Amazon Prime.
I have Prime too, yeah. Because I'm looking, like I said, all the fresh stuff, it's not that far. I'm like, wait, hold up. Amazon cheaper than the local grocery store. Hold on. Let me get this delivery one.
Yeah, she ordered a lot of shit on Amazon. She was sitting there like she heard you say that. She's like, I ain't gonna lie. Every time you look up, it's an Amazon box at her house. People buying so much shit off of Amazon. Next minute, people ain't gonna need trash bags. They're gonna be able to use the Amazon boxes to throw trash out. You're gonna see boxes sitting on the tree line. That's where the trash is in.
Actually, I did use an Amazon box for a trash can for a minute.
Because it's true. Sitting up there with your Amazon box on the tree line.
It was sturdy. It was sturdy and useful.
See, that's all recycling.
I'll have to get over here soon, y'all. Oh wow, we're going almost 4 hours.
Yeah,
I'll have to come back again like another day, probably tomorrow or something. Wait, tomorrow is Friday. Oh wow.
Well, we appreciate everything.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Look at that. We get for both of you. I mean, we appreciate. Trust me.
Yeah, I know you guys appreciate it. I appreciate y'all, listening and finding some value in it.
Yeah, when I talked to people, I said I got an inside source. So.
Oh yeah.
I ain't gonna
Man,
everybody.
this was great.
I don't trust them. I mean, and I sit up here and I laugh and they say, well, a lot of people don't. Even some white people was coming out making comments and they were saying, well, black people are kind of hesitant to get the drugs. And they were saying, and then white people said, well, no offense, the U.S. government ain't had a very good history when it comes to them. If I wouldn't believe me, he said they got every right to have.
Yeah, they see it too. They're tired of them too.
Even the white people saying that. They're like, they said the most potent group to get it are the least vaccinated. Do you think? Last time somebody offered you something free,
right?
Yeah, free boat ride, free blankets.
Exactly. I'm about to say free blankets,
free ride in the police car.
Come on over. Like we got shrimp, all kinds of stuff. And you like, man, okay, cool. But can you take these shackles off me before I get on the cruise? No, that's for your own safety. Right. That's for your own security. God dang. Okay, well, y'all gonna take it off when I get out, right? Yeah, we're gonna take it off. You get all the scripts and strawberries and champagne you want. All right, then we're gonna do this. And now we here. What the hell? Like what?
Yep. I'm not gonna lie. I do want to go on the cruise, but it'd be kind of stupid too.
Well, I don't know because I don't know. Within a few months, I don't know about the prices or the stocks. With
the prices are just great right now.
Yeah. Okay. People are afraid to do that because of all the issues with the cruise ships last year.
Right.
And
be sitting up there for 2 months.
Floating on a metal vomit can. Just all sick. You just sitting there. Oh God.
Please, know me. I'd be vomiting over the damn board. I don't give a damn. Like a fish can get it too.
I would wait a few years for the cruise thing. Probably I'm investing in different things. I think the cruise lines and airlines, good things probably. Well, airlines probably more important to invest in than a cruise right now. But yeah, I think as far as going and literally investing money in it to go, I'll wait a few years. I'm gonna wait a few years for that.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going. It's not going anywhere.
Right.
If I'm going to like Bahamas or I'm going to Hawaii or something, it ain't going nowhere. Well, I don't know about Hawaii, but at least all they volcanoes. But at least like Bahamas, Puerto Rico, if I'm gonna go there, they're not going nowhere. They'll be fine.
Yeah. I think too, a lot of people are just so tired of being pent up in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I'm glad that I get enjoyment out of what I do because I can only imagine what other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I actually enjoy what I do,
Yeah, I do too.
but I
And
can
I told
imagine how people
you,
who don't have nothing to do, whoo man, are they like going out partying? You know, I want to get excited. All I got to do is go find a house to work on. That's
that's
pretty
what I told
easy.
my mom. Who don't have anything to do right now, who don't have jobs, that's where you get your skills up. That's where you start whatever. Well, see, if you have enough money saved up, then all these online courses is very important, like to do. If you can do that, I mean, investing and stuff. If you have money to do that, that would have been good. Flip your money in the beginning. But a lot of people didn't think it would last this long. So I can understand people are really frustrated and they have like nothing. I feel for them because like you have the people on the opposite side, they're like they got too much going on.
Yeah.
Like I can't
Right.
too much going on.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Like
these people. I got to go out and eat. I gotta be able to go to the store. I gotta.
Yeah. And I'm sitting here like I would rather just,
I order my groceries whenever possible, but sometimes I have to go to the store and I be bashed up like a mug.
Shit, that's the only time I go. I go when I buy groceries and I take my ass home.
Yeah. Oh, I go straight home. Don't get it twisted. I go straight home now.
Mm-hmm.
They go straight home, huh?
Mm-hmm. You see somebody out there, they want to talk. I go walking fast. I hold my hand up and be like, "Talk to you later. Holler at you now."
I'll be running like Charlie on the Willy Wonka with his golden ticket. I gotta get home, guys.
That's right. That's right.
Running with the groceries in your hands. With the bag in your hand, yo, I can't. I remember when I went to CVS that day, that lady, she just passed out. She was like walking funny, and I was like, oh, this she about to fall out. I just thought like she's gonna fall out. If she doesn't, then I'll be okay. But if she does, I'm gone. And as soon as she went boom and just hit the ground face first, somebody when they hit the ground face first, their arms don't even go out to catch themselves. I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I had a friend of mine that was she was in and she's a nurse. She was sitting in the doctor's office, and a patient was in there. He had just had heart surgery, and he got the vaccine. And I guess he was, he wasn't quite right, from the heart surgery. And they told him not to get the vaccine. He did it anyway. Sitting in there, fell face first out. They was working on the man and everything, sitting up coding him and everything. And she was just sitting there on TikTok.
Wow.
I'm on the phone with her, and she's like, I didn't even move. And they were like, ma'am, don't you want to go over to the other area? She was like, no, go ahead. Y'all do your thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you become numb to it, man. You really do. And it's not that she was insensitive. It's just like, look, hey, I know what you got to do.
Right.
Do what you got to do. I'm not a layman. But that's what's going on out here, man. And people act, that's why it's funny when these people act like nothing's going on and people are just fucking falling out. People are man, there's people stopping on the middle of the freeway.
Yeah.
And the ambulances are coming to get these people.
Yeah, remember I told you I was riding my bike and it just felt like I was about to pass out. I had pulled over, sat down on the grass on the curb.
Man, I forgot you had that shit, man.
Yeah, man. And they talk about, oh well, it could be of a year to 18 months before you're back to normal.
Well, you watch yourself. You watch yourself, and you keep an eye on yourself because ain't nobody else gonna do it.
Yeah, take care of yourself, Judge.
You need to have tell Charles that, man. He just if he remember, I'm out the woods.
Hey, you got it. Yeah, you got my number and you got my email.
No, I don't
man.
have
You
your
got
number.
Any questions? You don't?
Yeah, I don't have your number. No, put it in the.
Well, shoot. You still got my email, right?
I don't think I have it on this phone. Put it in the back chat, and I'll write it down.
All right.
Yeah, but yeah, man. I told him, I said that's a funny feeling because I've only passed out once in my life. One time I went to a place and I gave blood. The woman took the blood out of my arm, and I think what happened when she took the vials out, she put the tourniquet and I wrapped you with the tourniquet, and they take the vials out. And normally, once they stick you, before they change caps, they usually let some of the pressure off. And I think what happened is she didn't do that. So I got up and walked out into the lobby. I got right out into the lobby and passed right out on the ground. And I mean, that's the closest way to death I've ever felt. And it felt like I was about to you felt your bowels loosen up, like you was about to just go on yourself. And I mean, I said, wow, is that what it feels like when you die?
Well, if you start getting deoxygenated, what's going to happen is your lips are going to start tingling. It's almost like being drunk, and your lips will start tingling. Your vision will start getting kind of fuzzy, and then you'll get tunnel vision. And by the time you get tunnel vision, it's not going to get real small. You're going to fall out.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. I felt like one of them old TVs where it go down real small. I remember how you turn the TV off and it turned to that little dot and then disappear?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
I said, do that right to the ground, and then I could hear. I felt myself hit the ground. I didn't feel no pain. I could hear people talking around me, but I couldn't move.
Yeah,
and that's like a feeling. And I was sitting there telling myself, that's what. Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. And I was like, when it happened, I was like, nope, I'm out of here. Like, I can't. Because I already knew it was going to be, depending on the area I'm in, it's either COVID or meth.
Yeah.
So Nicole, do you watch zombie movies?
No, not really. I was trying to watch Walking Dead before. That was like,
Walking Dead was awesome, especially if you got the first season. I mean, they went to the CDC and everything, and they found out that the virus, they're working on the virus and stuff. I think you like that part.
Yeah,
but okay, the World War Z one. Watch World War Z.
Oh yeah.
And now let me tell you. Every time I think about this, I think about that. And guess what they were patterned off? The Pentagon did a study based off of zombie apocalypse and how pretty much a viral proliferation would happen in the United States. And that was done like 2-3 years ago?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right before this happened.
Mm-hmm. Funny timing, right?
Right. They used that as a go by. And that study, the majority of that study is still classified.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
They're on. I think that you can still find it on YouTube. But there was a congressman or a senator that was reading portions of it, and he read portions of it that were redacted, and he said, in the event that infected persons overwhelm treatment facilities and places where you collect the dead, redacted, and he said, Jesus Christ, redacted. So.
Yeah, everything.
So you know what that means, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that when they kind of nuked the town?
What they're going to start doing is they're going to, even people who are infected who can't be saved, that you're going to go to military triage. If you can't save them, that means you're going to let them die.
Yeah.
Okay.
Out here in civilian triage, the person who's wounded the most, you treat them first. In military triage, the person who is the least wounded, you treat them first.
Right.
So in this instance, if people are right,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
If people are not able to be saved, what they're going to do is they're going to kill them, and they're going to go ahead and dispose of the bodies along with the dead because they can't do anything for them, and they're not going to expend any resources to take care of them. Now, all of that's redacted. But anybody who has half a brain who basically takes the pieces that are unredacted and you fill in the blanks, you know what's going to happen.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gone. If you ain't important, you're gone.
Well, if you're important, you get it. You're going to be gone too.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I mean, that it is the worst case scenario. And I've got a game that they used to have out. It's called I can't remember what the name of it is, but it basically it's a pattern. It's patterned off of vectors and any kind of pathogen that you can think of. They do Ebola. They do any kind of viral infections. You can pick how it's spread, all of that, and you can run that simulation.
Wow.
And it's as close as you can get to real.
Wow.
It'll predict how it spreads from country to country and how it spreads, like if it's via travel, sea, air, over land.
What about that app? What about that app where it was talking about that app that tracked your phone, so like it can tell, like if your phone was near a person who was known positive, I believe they're probably already doing that.
Well, and with the Apple Watch is that if the sensors are calibrated properly, they can tell whether you're having symptoms.
Oh wow!
Right, and they can.
Well, shit, maybe it's good that I got me an Apple phone now. Oh shit, I need to get me a watch.
Yeah, they're collecting that data. You know. So there's a lot of stuff out here. There's a lot of stuff out here.
Nicole, I'm about to get off.
I'm about to get off.
Y'all cutting out? Okay, hey, thanks for having me up, Nicole.
Yep, I'm cutting out.
Well, you got my email too, Nicole, and I got my number in the back chat too. So if you want to get in touch with me, you can.
Okay.
All right.
This is a very good stream, everybody. I thank everybody for coming.
Yeah, everybody support our channel, man.
Yeah, coming through, giving their commentary, you know, it's much appreciated as always. And I also thank everyone for giving in the super chat and the cash app. You know, you can keep giving and keep on giving. It's fine.
That's right. Help her expand her channel there.
Yeah, I really do appreciate it. It's helpful every time people come up here. Even if there's some, little BS here and there going on, little foolishness, it's I don't think I've ever had a time where there wasn't like something helpful.
Right. Well, you're doing us all a service, and we're gonna keep helping out.
So I appreciate y'all. Thank you for coming, AB and Judge Dre, as well as BGS.
Have a good night.
Back to you. Y'all have a good night and be safe.
Righty.